Chapter 22:22. Before discovering that the merit ring could be fused, Yang Chun did not have such thoughts. After all, refining the immortal beheading stage was not something that could be done overnight. Yang Chun had to refine the immortal beheading stage before the Zhao family. Of course, the most important thing was to refine the demon world before the Zhao family reacted. Now that the merit ring had fused together, the control of the immortal beheading stage was becoming more and more smooth. The speed of refining was also 100 or 1,000 times faster. With the second primordial spirit operating alone, it was enough to refine this place in a short period of time. Yang Chun was naturally able to free up his hands to care about the cultivation base. In the end, the most important thing for cultivators was still cultivation. Only when one's cultivation increased, everything would be much simpler. This was the case for killing enemies, refining magic treasures, and even refining the demon world. As long as Yang Chen's cultivation improved, it would bring about the collective improvement of the second and third primordial spirits. Then, whether it was refining the immortal beheading stage or the demon world, the speed would increase. This was a complementary process. Yang Chun had just memorized the complete version of the Heaven and Earth Treasure Nurturing Secret Art, and had not actually tested it. Therefore, it was necessary to test the effect on some simple magic treasures. It was not that Yang Chun did not trust Brother Li Cheng and the secret art he gave. It was just that this kind of refining secret art was useless no matter how many chants he memorized. He had to actually do it to be able to truly control it. He knew that this matter had to be done. If he wanted to control it himself, he had to put in the effort himself. There was no shortcut. After randomly finding an inconspicuous magic treasure, Yang Chun began to familiarize himself with the refining process. This was the first time he used the complete version of the Heaven and Earth Treasure Nurturing Secret Art. There were always things that were not thoughtful. Important magic treasures definitely could not be used for experiments. Similar to the Elder Lord Pill scripture, most of the records in the Heaven and Earth Treasure Nurturing Secret Art were basic refining techniques. There were targeted improvements for different types of materials with different attributes. What surprised Yang Chun the most was that he didn't know if Big Brother Li Cheng did it on purpose, but actually recorded the refining method and process of the diamond bracelet. The immortal beheading saber now used the materials of the diamond chakram. The refining process of the diamond chakram was an extremely important reference for Yang Chun. After continuously refining several different magic treasures for no less than 100 times, Yang Chun dared to say that he had finally touched the edge of the three pure Taoist art of cultivating universe. His proficiency points had increased significantly. At the very least, he would not be flustered when refining important magic treasures due to his lack of familiarity. Only then did he officially begin refining his great yin-yang 5 elements flying sword. After refining the great yin-yang 5 elements flying sword with the golden body secret art and Heaven and Earth Treasure Cultivation secret art for hundreds of days, Yang Chun basically understood the method of Heaven and Earth Treasure Cultivation secret art. After all, Yang Chun had already used the incomplete version of the Universe Treasure Nurturing art to maintain magic treasures for thousands of years. The technique was exactly the same, so of course he learned it quickly. At this point, Yang Chun could finally consider how to completely integrate the Universe Treasure Nurturing art and the yellow turban strongman body refining technique into the golden body secret art. But before that, Yang Chun had to help the Earth Dragon collect the blood pool first. Just after receiving the message from the Earth Dragon to Yang Chun, he had arrived at the periphery of the Valley of No Return. In order not to arouse the vigilance of other cultivators, the Earth Dragon approached the Valley of No Return from another direction. In addition, he had the ability to hide his whereabouts. Except for Yang Chun, so far no cultivator knew that the Earth Dragon had arrived at the edge of the Valley of No Return. Yang Chun drove the immortal beheading saber and quickly rushed to the edge where the Earth Dragon was. In the Valley of No Return, only Yang Chun dared to fly on a sword. The Earth Dragon's cultivation had reached the Golden Immortal realm, so after entering the Valley of No Return, without the suppression of the Blood Corpse, the killing intent had almost no effect on the Earth Dragon. It just took him a while to adapt to it on Yang Chen's wrist, and then he could move freely. The blood in the blood pool was still flowing, and the surrounding soil and rocks were formed by the flesh and blood of countless golden immortals, zenith heaven golden immortals, and innumerable tribulation true immortals. These were of no use to Yang Chen and others, but for the Earth Dragon, they were rare and excellent supplements. According to Yang Chen's instructions, the Earth Dragon opened his mouth and swallowed everything along the edge of the formation of the Valley of No Return. The blood pool, the platform, and the whole land several miles above the Valley of No Return were all swallowed by the Earth Dragon. The Earth Dragon could only swallow these things first. As for refining them, it would take him a long time. However, the blood pool was extraordinary. It was directly absorbed by the Earth Dragon. Yang Chen watched the Earth Dragon's cultivation rush to the peak of the golden immortal realm. In a short time, the Earth Dragon seemed to have become a balloon, and his cultivation expanded rapidly. At this point, there was nothing left in the Valley of No Return except for the corpse-dumping mouth of the immortal beheading stage suspended in the air and the deep pit left by the original Valley of No Return. The corpse-dumping mouth had not been completely refined, so it could only float in place. When the second primordial spirit refined the corpse-dumping mouth one day, this space exit would also disappear. Everyone was in a mountain river geographical map, and Yang Chen took the Earth Dragon in a random direction and quietly left from the Valley of No Return. As for the divine sense imprints that marked his whereabouts, they all vibrated in an instant and floated into the corpse-dumping mouth of the immortal beheading stage. Yang Chen and his family had not gone far from the Valley of No Return, and hundreds of figures had rushed into the Valley of No Return. As soon as they entered the Valley of No Return, those practitioners were dumbfounded. The murderous intent in the Valley of No Return had become so weak, but there was still a strong murderous intent in the center. The whole world had changed greatly, and the blood-red world had become a huge pit. What was going on? Some of the quick-witted ones immediately realized that something must have been taken away. Those who stayed outside waiting for Yang Chen's family, and those who carefully entered the array formation and went out immediately, saw this situation. They regretted it. If they had known earlier, they would have dug some soil and stones at the edge of the array formation. It would have been better than being taken away by others. The courageous ones immediately flew to the center where the murderous intent was the strongest. Now, the murderous intent inside had weakened to the point that there was no problem in flying on a normal sword. Since the murderous intent there was so strong, there must be a major secret. Everyone was scrambling to fly over for fear of falling behind and not getting anything. This place had been plundered to the point that even the land was gone, and no one wanted to miss the last chance. The distance of thousands of miles under the flying sword of a group of cultivators soon arrived. In the eyes of everyone, there was only the square opening suspended high in the air. Through that opening, everyone could also see a ghost blade full of murderous intent. For a time, the eyes of the cultivators who rushed over almost all turned red. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Dozens of figures rushed into the square opening almost at full speed and disappeared in a flash. The cultivators behind also followed suit and flew in, and soon there were no more cultivators on the scene. Chapter 22-23. The Valley of No Return was still the same Valley of No Return. Although the situation inside had changed greatly, the characteristic of no return had not changed. It was still the same Valley of No Return. None of the practitioners who rushed in went out, as if they had evaporated from the world. After waiting outside for a long time, some practitioners finally had no choice but to admit this fact again. The Valley of No Return was still one of the dangerous places in the spiritual realm. Yang Chen had taken his family to travel around slowly. Everyone was cultivating in a mountain river geographical map in a relaxed mood. When the time was right, they would go to the Dragon Palace to relax. Life was leisurely. Perhaps Li Cheng felt that the refining speed of the Devil Realm was still too slow. After some observation, he suggested that Yang Chen take out 54 primordial heaven elixirs. He also took out 54 primordial heaven elixirs for himself, making a total of 108 primordial heaven elixirs. He buried them in the mountain river geographical map, according to the position of the Earth-killing Polaris formation, and let the third primordial spirit absorb and refine them into the map. At this time, there seemed to be a catalyst for refining the Devil Realm, and the speed was increased by hundreds of times. The Earth-evil Polaris formation, which was composed of 108 heavenly primordial elixirs refined by the essence of an infinitely tribulation true immortal, forcibly upgraded the entire mountain river geographical map by several levels. It was much easier to refine the Devil Realm, which was originally the lowest world connected to the mortal world. The border between the spiritual realm and the Devil Realm, which was hundreds of thousands of miles long, was normal on one side and black on the other. But now, this dividing line was rapidly pushing towards the demon realm. Whether it was the land or the creatures in the demon realm, they quickly changed from black to a normal appearance with only a hint of black gas. Yangchen didn't know how happy he was. At this speed, it would take at most 500 years to basically refine the Devil Realm. The reason why he said it was basically not completely was that the connection point between the Devil Realm and the Immortal Realm was definitely an exception. He did not know how difficult it would be to refine that connection point. However, Li Cheng had already said that he wanted so many natal magic treasures of innumerable tribulation true immortals to refine one to block this connection point and the one in the demon beast space. He believed that as long as the hole was blocked, the rest of the work would be much easier. By the time the Zhao family reacted, the entire demon realm had already entered the mountain river geographical map without anyone noticing. Others couldn't find it even if they wanted to. Speaking of the Zhao family, they didn't seem to have made any moves all these years, which surprised Yangchen. Even if the Zhao family was tied up by the means arranged by Zhou Sheng and Big Brother Li Cheng in the demon beast space, the experts of the Zhao family outside were still extremely strong. How could there be no movement? After secretly learning about the recent developments of all parties, Yangchen carefully considered it, and then passed an order to Yang Lan to deal with the profound heaven sect by any means necessary. Of course, the specific order was to have all the major sect distance themselves from the profound heaven sect. Yang Lan now hated the Xintian sect to the bone. On the matter of destroying the Xintian sect, Yang Lan and Yang Chen's positions were highly consistent. With this idea, Yang Lan would not even doubt anything at all. This was his own idea, letting all the major sect distance themselves from the profound heaven sect. This matter was actually done better than anyone else by Sect Master Wu. All Yang Lan needed to do was to cooperate with Sect Master Wu. Of course, with Yang Lan's current identity, he must report to the head of the Zhao family before he could carry out substantive actions. Coincidentally, one of the important reasons why the Zhao family had been quiet these years was that the experts of the Zhao family and Lin Zongxuan of the profound heaven sect had fought, and both sides suffered. That expert was still hanging on to his last breath, but they didn't have the 8-grade medicinal pills or the profound marrow pills that Yangchen had specially refined. Fortunately, they got a batch of the 6th-grade Lingji mushroom jade pills refined by Yangchen from other channels. They also consumed 1 pill every few days to support their lives. For 50 years, the Zhao family had been recuperating without any incidents. They had also barely gotten along with a major sect for a short period of time. Recently, the situation had finally changed. In the batch of profound marrow pills refined by Master Yangchen in the profound heaven sect last time, except for the 2 best ones that were given to Lin Zongxuan of the profound heaven sect, Yangchen gave the rest to Wanbao Tower for auction. The insiders almost went crazy and divided up this batch of more than 100 profound marrow pills. The hidden spy of the Zhao family also grabbed 5 in this feast of competition and spent a lot of money. Although these 5 pills were not as good as the 2 that were given to Lin Zongxuan, the effect of 5 pills in hand was almost the same as 2. After succeeding, the 5 medicinal pills were quickly sent back to the Zhao family. The Zhao family had much more profound immortal demonic beasts than the major sect. As long as one was a high-level alchemist, they could extract the vitality from them. together with Yang Chen's profound marrow pills. It was a complete combination of medicinal pills. After the combination of medicinal pills was given to the old ancestor of the Zhao family, the effect was immediately seen. Although it was not like Lin Zhongxuan, who could sit up immediately after taking the 8 revolution pill, at least he was no longer in the state where he was about to die, and his body began to recover slowly. It seemed that as long as he could hold on for about 1,000 years, this seriously injured old ancestor of the Zhao family would be able to recover to his original state. Finally, the Zhao family got rid of one of their confidants' worries and began to arrange a counterattack. Just at this time, Yanglong also brought his own plan to the Zhao family. After listening to it, the master of the Zhao family immediately made a decision and executed it. After more than 50 years of not causing trouble for the sect, those guys probably thought that the Zhao family could no longer hold on. Lin Zhongxuan was actually killed by a human immortal slave of the profound heaven sect. This made the Zhao family very happy. A dignified golden immortal who had crossed the tribulation actually died in the hands of a slave. It was simply a shame. It was good that he died. If Lin Zhongxuan did not die, the Zhao family would probably find ways to kill him. However, Lin Zhongxuan's death also created a lot of opportunities for Yanglong. No one knew that a profound immortal elder who was currently in power in the profound heaven sect was controlled by Yanglong using the Great Freedom Devil Heart Sutra a long time ago. When Yanglong was caught, that profound immortal elder happened to be out and did not have much contact with Yanglong, so he missed it. Yanglong had been enduring and did not use this profound immortal elder. Now that the opportunity came, Yanglong immediately began a series of arrangements. First of all, this elder pledged loyalty to Sect Master Wu and then spared no effort to help Sect Master Wu eradicate dissidents. In the eyes of Sect Master Wu, this was a performance of loyalty, but in the eyes of Yanglong, this was consuming the internal strength of the profound heaven sect, and at the same time, pulling a lot of hatred for Sect Master Wu. Next, it was to let this elder make contributions and increase the bargaining chips. Chapter 22-24. Making a contribution was very simple. The Zhao family's branch had already been discovered by the mysterious heaven sect, and they had sent experts to capture and kill many of them. In that operation, Sect Master Wu did not share the benefits with the major sect in order to ensure his reputation and credit. Instead, he sent people to the territories of the major sect to capture people. Although the confessions of those cultivators later also showed that those guys were indeed the branch of the Zhao family and had been collecting money for the Zhao family, this kind of behavior made many sect members hold grudges. This time, Yanglong was even worse. He directly revealed the identities of several important Zhao family spies and let the profound immortal elder of the mysterious heaven sect come to arrest them. Or rather, it couldn't be said that they directly arrested people, but they cooperated with several sect members to arrest people. It didn't matter if they arrested people, but the identities of these spies were not ordinary. Each of them was at least at the level of an elder in a major sect, and one of them was a good friend of the current sect master. As a representative of the mysterious heaven sect, this elder's attitude was also very aggressive, and he put Sect Master Wu's instructions into his mouth. Although it was said that he cooperated, he looked like he was supervising the work of the sect. Even if he could come up with definitive evidence, this appearance really made several people in the sect very uncomfortable. After capturing those few spies and interrogating them in detail to confirm that those spies were planted by the Zhao clan, this elder became even more overbearing. He kept on talking about how Sect Master Wu racked his brains and worked hard to discover the identity of these spies and so on. It was as if Sect Master Wu was the only one who made the contribution and no one else. If it was the previous Sect Master Li, he would definitely find a reasonable reason to secretly inform the senior members of the sect. As for how to deal with these sect members, it was entirely up to these sect members. After dealing with them, Sect Master Li would not say anything, as if this matter had nothing to do with Sect Master Li. The senior members of the major sect members got a reputation and caught the spies, but they were very grateful to sect master Li in their hearts, and the relationship between all parties was also good. It could be said that from the previous sect master Wang to sect master Li, in order to ease the relationship with the major sect, they had considered a lot. Sect master Wu himself knew that his qualifications were insufficient. After Zhou Sheng and Lin Zhongxuan supported him to his position, he always wanted to quickly establish his own prestige, which was the taboo of haste making waste. That profound immortal elder's actions, in the ears of sect master Wu, meant that he was sparing no effort to create momentum for himself to open his eyes. He pushed sect master Wu's merits to the front. He was simply a model of loyalty. Little did he know that this had become a thorn that could not be removed in the hearts of the sect's higher-ups. These captured spies usually hid themselves very well and never revealed the slightest flaw. Even their fellow sect members didn't notice them. So where did the mysterious Heaven sect get this information? Sect Master Li had also reported in the past, but on the one hand, they were all small fish and shrimps that were implicated through other things. On the other hand, Sect Master Li would also do favors, so naturally, everyone was happy. But now, the mysterious Heaven sect gave people the feeling that they were firmly covering themselves and then secretly watching other sects. If they didn't watch often, how could they find such a secret thing? Not to mention that they got the news from the people of the Zhao family. Without the permission of the major sect, the accounts of making a move on other people's territory had not yet been settled. How could some of the Zhao family side branches know the most secret spies that the Zhao family had painstakingly buried in order to subvert the major sect? Who would believe it? Did they really think that everyone was a fool? Were they so easy to fool? Every senior member of the sect who pinched their noses and dealt with those spies thought so. Some even suspected that some people inside the mysterious Heaven sect wanted everyone to feel that there would be no problem with the mysterious Heaven sect. So they deliberately exposed these powerful spies to attract everyone's attention, and at the same time, to cover up some unspeakable conspiracies. Yang Lan was a schemer, and he knew that some things couldn't be done too much, so he only chose a few sect members. Then, that profound, immortal elder returned to the mysterious Heaven sect with the gratitude of the major sect to report to Sect Master Wu. After a series of words of gratitude and loyalty, he neither asked for credit nor reward, and obediently waited for the sect master's instructions. Where else could he find such a knowledgeable subordinate who wholeheartedly protected his superior? Sect Master Wu was extremely happy, and he rewarded him greatly, raising the rank of this elder by 1 level. He wanted all the disciples of the mysterious Heaven sect to understand that only those who followed him, Sect Master Wu, would have a bright future. Sect Master Wu, who didn't know that the mysterious Heaven sect had once again been rejected by the major sect, was still thinking about how to make the mysterious Heaven sect dominate the world. However, there was one thing that he didn't know what to do. It was still because of the Valley of No Return. Yang Chen's family had already been in there for a long time. Some time ago, all the divine sense imprints had some unusual movements, and after a group of cultivators went in, none of them came back. Sect Master Wu didn't know if he should continue to send people in to investigate, or should he wait for martial ancestor Zhou Sheng to come back. This Yangchen was really not easy to deal with. How long had it been? And he actually made such a big movement. However, his alchemy skills were really amazing. The mysterious Heaven sect's medicine hall master and an elder, after observing Grandmaster Yang's alchemy once, were sincerely convinced and immediately went into seclusion. When he came out of seclusion 10 years ago, it was said that his alchemy level had improved by a lot. Fortunately, the 2 7th-grade alchemists said so. They actually had a breakthrough after observing a 6th-grade alchemist concoct pills, which made people want to laugh when they heard it. However, such a funny thing. None of the profound Heaven sect's alchemists laughed, and many of them were envious of those too. The world had really changed. Even a little monkey could overturn the heavens. But thinking about it, otherwise, why would Sect Master Wu pinch his nose and ask for 10 times the compensation to befriend Yang Chun? The bad thing was that they shouldn't have killed Chunyang Palace in the beginning under the overbearing means of martial ancestor Zhou Sheng and martial ancestor Lin Zhongxuan. Otherwise, they should be allies with Chunyang Palace, and they wouldn't have to worry about how to get the pills from Yang Chen's hands. A mere Yang Chen, with his family entering the Valley of No Return, actually led to the entire spiritual world. Just the number of cultivators who had entered the Valley of No Return until now had already reached thousands. This guy was really not easy to deal with. All parties were guessing what was in the Valley of No Return, but now no party had sent people to go in. Anyway, Yang Chen would always appear in the future. Relying on the good relationship with Yang Chen in the past, those sect did not have to worry about any benefits not falling on them. Yang Chen would be gone for 1,000 years, and it was estimated that after he came out, he would immediately become a 7th-grade alchemist. At that time, it would be a happy time for everyone. A 6th revolution pill was already highly sought after. If there really was a 7th revolution pill personally refined by Yang Chen, would it make people break their heads even more? Chapter 22-25. Yang Chen was not struggling in the Valley of No Return as these people imagined. He was safely wandering around in the mysterious Sky Dark Sea Shuttle, cultivating nonstop and living a comfortable life. With the Jade Emperor's heavenly Yuan elixir, Yang Chen's cultivation speed was many times faster. In just a few years, he had reached the 8th level of the Earth Immortal Realm. In another 10 years, he would be able to reach the peak of the Earth Immortal Realm and trigger the Earth Immortal Tribulation. According to the normal speed, it was impossible to reach the peak of the Earth Immortal Realm from the 6th level of the Earth Immortal Realm in 300 or 400 years. This was based on the fact that Yang Chen was cultivating while trying to integrate the Kuai's secret technique and the universe treasure-raising technique into the Golden Body Scripture. One could imagine how powerful the heavenly Yuan elixir was. Of course, during this period of time, Yang Chen had consumed a lot of merit points. A large number of merit points were filled into the integrated cultivation method at every moment, so that Yang Chen's cultivation would not deviate. It couldn't be helped. The integration of this cultivation method could not be done overnight. He could only explore bit by bit. The merit points were the last guarantee to ensure that he would not be possessed by the devil because of the cultivation method. During these years of cultivation, everyone's speed was lightning fast. With one heavenly Yuan elixir, everyone's cultivation speed was accelerated by more than 100 times. Like Zhou Xianying, who had reached the peak of the Heaven Immortal Realm, as long as she was willing, the Heaven Immortal Tribulation could descend at any time, and then she could ascend. However, Zhou Xianying had just gotten rid of the bad reputation of Granny Tianqin and enjoyed the happiness of being protected by her husband. How could she be willing to ascend so early? Therefore, she had long prepared to break through to the 1st level of the Xian Immortal Realm and become the first Grand Supreme Expert in Yang Chen's family. With her husband and brother Li Cheng's request to improve their cultivation at the same time, Gong Sunling was no longer restrained. She had already taken the heavenly Yuan elixir, and her cultivation speed had increased a lot. In addition, the speed of refining the demon realm by the Mountain River geographical map had greatly increased. At the same time, the Mountain River geographical map became more powerful, and the demonic monsters in the demon realm had also passed the heaven tribulation and became normal cultivators. The addition of millions and tens of millions of cultivators directly allowed the Mountain River geographical map to refine the demon realm even faster. With the combination of the two, Gong Sunling's cultivation soared like a rocket. In just a few years, her true cultivation level had already reached the intermediate Heaven Immortal stage. She only needed to undergo her tribulation to become a true Heaven Immortal expert. Yang Chen was also leading everyone to find a place to transcend their tribulations. There were more and more people approaching their tribulations, so he couldn't let everyone waste their time like this. However, they had to keep it secret, so the choice of location was relatively difficult. Fortunately, with the Dragon Palace, no one would notice them in the depths of the sea. Yang Chen brought everyone straight to the deepest part of the vast sea. There were only powerful sea beasts there, not ordinary cultivators. With Ao Lan and Ao Lie around, which sea beast would dare to disturb them? Originally, Yang Shan planned to go to Tianjua Mountain, which was known as one of the 3 great danger zones in the spiritual realm, but after being opposed by Gao Yu and the other women, he didn't go. On the other hand, big brother Li Cheng didn't say no, nor did he say yes. He reckoned that there wouldn't be any danger. However, since the women objected, Yang Chun had to give them some face. This time, they objected to entering the Valley of No Return. It was only because big brother Li Cheng had a lot of face that they could enter the Valley of No Return. However, it was absolutely impossible to go to the Tianjua Mountain again. How is it? This is the result of having many wives and concubines. You didn't expect it, right? Big brother Li Cheng seemed to be watching the show. After a long time, he smiled and said this to ridicule Yang Chun. Big brother, you are a person who doesn't get close to women. Don't pretend to understand when you don't. Yang Chun retorted without holding back. You don't understand the joy in this. These words made big brother Li Cheng speechless. This also made Yang Chun proud for a long time. Even the pain of big brother Li Cheng taking away the 3 pure Taoist ancestors' heavenly essence pill lessened. While Yang Chun and his family were looking for a suitable place to transcend the tribulation, something big happened in the spiritual realm. One of the golden immortals who entered the demonic beast space with Zhou Sheng used the divine perching jade in the sect and left his natal primordial spirit behind. There had been no movement before, but one day, the divine perching jade belonging to the golden immortal ancestor suddenly shattered and was quickly reborn as an extremely weak cultivator. This was a sect of the demon race. The golden immortal ancestor in the mortal realm was not as arrogant as Zhou Shenglin and Zhong Sun. He readily used the divine perching jade in the sect. Even though he knew that they would not be threatened in the spiritual realm with their tribulation transcending golden immortal cultivation, he still accepted the kindness of the younger generation of the sect. As a result, something happened today. The divine perching jade shattered, which meant that the golden immortal ancestor had died in the demonic beast space. Unfortunately, the reborn golden immortal ancestor only remembered what happened before he left his natal primordial spirit behind. It was impossible for him to know how he died and what kind of strong enemy he encountered. This was definitely a major event in the spiritual realm. All the major sect, including the Black Heaven sect, were immediately notified. When the representatives of all the sects rushed over, they found out what had happened. Another golden immortal ancestor had died, but this sounded much better than Lin Zhongsun's. At least he died on the battlefield. The question was, how did this golden immortal ancestor die? What exactly happened in there? Were there any more casualties? Except for 2 or 3 who entered the demonic beast space with Zhou Sheng. None of them used the divine perching jade. This was their pride as golden immortal ancestor. If they needed such a life-saving method, wouldn't they look too useless? Even if they needed to use it, it would be after they returned to the immortal world. Because of this, no one knew what was going on with the golden immortal ancestor in the demonic beast space and what kind of super expert they encountered. In any case, this was definitely not good news. Even if only one golden immortal expert died, the Zhao family strength was beyond the expectations of all the sect, as they were able to kill a dozen golden immortal experts and a zenith heaven golden immortal. All the representatives looked at the Black Heaven sect. Entering the demonic beast space was strongly requested by Zhou Sheng, and he was also the one who took the lead. Now that something like this had happened, the Black Heaven sect had to bear some responsibility no matter what. Although sacrifices were inevitable in the battle with the Zhao family, it was a different matter when a golden immortal ancestor was sacrificed. This golden immortal expert was lucky enough to use the divine perching jade. What about the other experts who didn't use the divine perching jade? If they died, it would really be the end of everything. No sect could afford such a loss. The representative of the Black Heaven sect was expressionless and didn't say anything. At this time, what else could he say? Moreover, he didn't know what happened inside, so he couldn't say anything. Chapter 22-26. In less than 100 years, 2.5 experts from the lower realm of the immortal realm had died. one from the Great Wilderness sect, one from the Mysterious Heaven sect, plus the one who used the divine perching jade, it could be said that the major sects had suffered heavy losses. The threat of the Zhao family had reached an intolerable level, even though there had been no war with the Zhao family in the past 100 years. The death of the 3 golden immortal grandmasters made the higher-ups of the major sect consider whether they should ask the higher-ups to send more experts. There's no need. This time, it was the representative of the Mysterious Heaven sect, Hall Chief Tong of the External Affairs Hall, who spoke. He was the confidant of Sect Master Wu and one of the higher-ups of the Mysterious Heaven sect, so his words carried a lot of weight. Just 1 golden immortal grandmaster is gone. It's not to the point of despair. Seeing everyone looking at him, Hall Chief Tong immediately said with assurance, "Although we have suffered a big loss, the Zhao family will definitely not be relaxed. In terms of comprehensive strength, the major sect combined would definitely surpass the Zhao family. The Zhao family was just a sect. Even if the higher-ups could send experts, how many could they send? Every golden immortal expert had to pay an extremely high price to descend to the lower realm. It was something that could only be achieved by sacrificing many tribulation true immortals. No matter how many experts the Zhao family had, how many tribulation true immortals could they use on this matter? After Lin Zhongxuan was injured, he made it clear that his opponents did not gain any advantage. Even if they exchanged one for another, the Zhao family did not have so many experts to exchange. This was the reason on the surface, but another important reason was because of Sect Master Wu. Hall Master Tong was very clear that the true successor to the Sect Master was Sect Master Wu. To put it bluntly, as long as Sect Master Wu could be patient, Sect Master Li would eventually have to pass the position to Sect Master Wu. It was only because the higher-ups had sent 2 hotheads who had fought against everything that Sect Master Wu had the opportunity to take over the position. If a sect sent someone to ascend and report the current situation, the Mysterious Heaven sect in the Immortal realm would definitely not be happy to see the current situation of the Mysterious Heaven sect. Once the higher-ups knew that they were messing around in the lower realm, they would send 1 or 2 experts down. Perhaps Sect Master Li would immediately regain the position of Sect Master. This was something that Sect Master Wu could not tolerate, and it was also something that Hall Master Tong could not tolerate. When they were in the mortal world, the two, as the Sect Master and Foreign Affairs Hall Master of the Greatest Heaven sect, were really able to get the wind and rain. Once they tasted the taste, they would never want to give it up. Once they tasted the taste of power, they would never want to give it up. Although his status was slightly higher than that of an ordinary disciple, compared to the glory he had when he was the Sect Master and Hall Master, the difference was not just a little bit. Now that they had once again tasted the feeling of being at the pinnacle of power, if they were to return to being ordinary disciples and wait patiently, it would be worse than killing them. How could Sect Master Wu and Hall Master Tong tolerate such a thing happening? Therefore, no matter how critical the current situation was, they could not let the higher-ups know what was happening in the spiritual realm before Sect Master Wu stabilized his position. Of course, the official reason was the same as before. The major sects weren't having a good time, but the Zhao family believed that it was even worse. Everyone agreed with this. Even if all the golden immortal grandmasters of the sect were killed, how many experts could Zhao family lose? Everyone believed that the golden immortal grandmasters of the sect were not useless. They would definitely be able to withstand the attack of Zhao family. The only worry was the demon beast space, which was Zhao family's territory. They had the geographical advantage. If they really fought, Zhou Sheng and the others would suffer a lot. Don't worry, the grandmasters are not reckless. Hall Chief Tong began to reason. My grandmaster Zhou said before we set off that if we can't win, we should run, and if we find an opportunity to fight, I believe they will definitely turn back. There has been no news until now, which means that the situation is not that serious. Everyone heard this before the golden immortal grandmasters set off, and Zhou Sheng did say so at that time. If one were to put it that way, it would make sense. Even if Zhao family had the geographical advantage, it was impossible for them to keep a group of golden immortal experts and a Zenith Heaven golden immortal expert. The only explanation was that both sides suffered losses, but it was obvious that Zhou Sheng and the others must have discovered the Zhao family's arrangement, which was why there was a fierce battle. Otherwise, the two sides would not have fought. All parties agreed with Hall Chief Tong of Xintian's sect. They each brought back the news and then went back to make arrangements. But as soon as they turned around, several senior members of the sect began to arrange for their loyal disciples to prepare for the tribulation and ascension. There were some things that had to be known by the higher-ups, especially the current situation of Xintian's sect, which was even more dangerous. They had to be prepared in advance. The senior members carefully told the disciples who were about to ascend to remember a lot of things, and each prepared a lot of jade slips to record what happened below, so that they could report after they ascended. In particular, the current situation of Xintian's sect had to be reminded. If Sect Master Wu was really a chess piece arranged by the Zhao family, then the identity of Zhou Sheng and Lin Zongxuan sent by Xintian's sect was also very suspicious. Even the Immortal World's Xintian sect would be strongly questioned, so the seniors above had to be prepared early. Hall Chief Tong and Sect Master Wu probably never dreamed that as soon as they disbanded, others would secretly plot against them. It couldn't be helped, their behavior was too strange. If it wasn't for the fact that Xintian's sect was still a big sect, the major sect would have wanted to do something like this in the mortal world again. The big storm this time was temporarily suppressed by Xintian's sect on the surface, but things were not over. The major sect strengthened their guard against the Zhao family, ready to deal with the Zhao family's next attack at any time. However, after preparing for a long time, there was no movement from the Zhao family, as if nothing had happened. This made people start to wonder if the Zhao family had really suffered heavy losses and couldn't organize an effective counterattack in a short period of time. This short period of peace didn't last long. In less than 10 years, 3 super sects were raided. The targets of the raids were the cultivation places of the experts who were resurrected by the divine perching jade. They were all places that were heavily guarded by the major sect. After Lin Zongxuan's accident last time, all parties strengthened the protection of these experts, striving to be foolproof. It had to be known that these experts would become stronger and stronger over time until they recovered their original cultivation or even went further. This was especially true for experts with experience and comprehension. Compared to those newly advanced experts, their battle prowess was more than double. 3 super sects were attacked. 2 of them were blocked by heavily guarded experts, while the last one, Hidden Fog Mountain, was successfully attacked. Dozens of experts who had been reborn by relying on the divine perching jade died, including the golden immortal grandmaster ancestor who had been reborn. Chapter 22-27. Because of Lin Zongxuan's previous incident, the major sects were very protective of these masters who were resurrected by the divine perching jade. The places where they lived and cultivated were heavily guarded. It could be said that even a mosquito could not fly in. No matter how powerful the enemy was, under such strong vigilance, regardless of whether they succeeded or not, they had paid a huge price, leaving behind dozens of corpses. What made these sect members even more shocked was that among the dead attackers, there were disciples of their respective sect. They had always thought that they were loyal and devoted disciples who should have appeared elsewhere at this time. It could be said that in such a heavily guarded situation, only the disciples of their own sect would be able to detect the location of these resurrected experts and have the opportunity to approach them. The other 2 sect members were lucky. Some of the experts who were responsible for protecting them were killed in exchange for the safety of the resurrected experts. However, the Demon Clan's Hidden Fog Mountain was unlucky. The golden immortal grandmaster who had been resurrected by the divine perching jade was killed right in front of their eyes. The mountain master directly spat out a mouthful of blood when he heard the news. It wasn't easy for him to escape with his life by relying on the divine perching jade, but in the end, he was killed under the heavy protection of his own sect. How could they accept this? All the major sect members took this as a warning and strengthened the protection of the resurrected experts. Now, the experts that the higher-ups trusted the most would bring along their portable cave residences and hide the resurrected experts in them. Since such a big thing had happened, they naturally had to investigate it in detail. Soon, the identities of the traitorous disciples of the three sect members were confirmed one by one. However, when the identities of the Zhao family spies were exposed, several sect members had other ideas. Not long ago, the mysterious Heaven sect informed the major sect members of the Zhao family's hidden spies in their respective sect. After everyone took action, it was confirmed that the mysterious Heaven sect's words were true. Although they didn't appreciate the mysterious Heaven sect's supervision, at least the major sects secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Perhaps it was because they had let their guard down that the Zhao family immediately retaliated after such a short period of time. If the identities of the spies that were killed on the spot were simple, it wouldn't be a big deal. The problem was that these spies were related to the Zhao family spies that the sect had dealt with before, and their identities were no higher than the disciples that the mysterious Heaven sect had found. This made people wonder, if the mysterious Heaven sect could even find the high-ranking spies, why couldn't they find the low-ranking spies who were related to those spies? But why was it that when they were exposed last time, only a few high-ranking spies, who were not as well hidden as those guys, did not warn them at all? Was it all for this moment? The sect members who were attacked were considering this possibility. Apart from their own traitorous disciples, the identities of the rest of the dead attackers were also gradually identified. What was extremely surprising was that these people were all from the major sect. If the attackers left by the three sects were added up, each sect would have one. It could be said that all the major sect members were completely implicated. Some of the sect members who originally had conflicts, but united because of the threat of the Zhao family, almost turned against each other again. Fortunately, the higher-ups of the major sect members were able to keep their composure, so it didn't lead to a major accident. However, the major sect members seemed to be on guard against each other. They were no longer united against the same enemy as before. Although each sect could push the blame on the Zhao family spies, who knew if there was anything fishy going on. Some people saw the crisis, so a small alliance led by the Tranquil sect gathered again. If someone carefully investigated the small group that gathered this time, they would definitely find that it was the 8 sect members who found the corpses of the mysterious Heaven sect members in Chunyang Palace. It's too much of a coincidence that something like this happened when we're working together to fight against the Zhao family. The master of the Tranquil sect began to discuss with the masters of the other sects who had come to visit in a secret cave residence. Everyone agreed on this point. It was indeed a troubled time recently. First, Elder Feng of the Great Wilderness sect disappeared. Then, something happened to the mysterious Heaven sect. Now, such an unforeseen event happened. The Great Wilderness sect and the Black Tortoise Academy were restraining each other at the moment, but there must be grudges in their hearts. The Black Tortoise Academy also secretly hated the mysterious Heaven sect. The attack just now caused the other sect members to no longer trust each other. In order to preserve their own strength, they would no longer work together to fight against the enemy as they did in the past. This entanglement alone reduced the combat effectiveness of the major sect members by at least 20%. From this point of view, the Zhao family did a great job. Did you guys notice that the mysterious Heaven sect shadow was more or less involved in these incidents? The master of the Wuji Demon School was not afraid of making things worse. He directly said what everyone had been thinking about but didn't say out loud. It was not the master of the Wuji Demon School who was stirring up trouble. It was the mysterious Heaven sect who was really involved in these incidents. The Black Tortoise Academy's Lu Wuji plotted against Elder Feng of the Great Wilderness sect. This was exposed by the mysterious Heaven sect. The attack on the Chunyang Palace and the destruction of the Mountain Gate were also done by the traitor disciples of the mysterious Heaven sect. Before the attack on the 3 major sects, the mysterious Heaven sect had just reminded each sect that there were spies of the Zhao family among them. Again, the mysterious Heaven sect had found spies who were more important than these people. Why were these small chess pieces, which were not important and could be abandoned at any time, kept and led to the death of the golden immortal Grandmaster of Misty Mountain? Even the mysterious Heaven sect itself had many unforeseen events. Only the Holocaust sect had done this in the past. As a result, the entire Holocaust sect had sided with the Zhao family. The mysterious Heaven sect can't be trusted now. The master of the Samsara Valley sighed and said, "Now I'm worried about those grandmasters who followed Zhou Sheng into the core of the trial ground. They must not have any accidents." Everyone's worry was the same as the Reincarnation Valley Masters. Those golden immortal grandmasters must not be harmed. If they all died inside, it would mean that the Zhao family was completely invincible. Other than asking for help from the higher-ups, there was no other way. Everyone, be careful. We still need to communicate more in the near future. As long as we unite, even if the mysterious Heaven sect is really... The master of the Green Jade Immortal Island hesitated for a moment and said, "Even if the mysterious Heaven sect is really unreliable, we will not be without room for resistance." The master of the mysterious Heaven sect didn't know that the mysterious Heaven sect had become the object of distrust in the eyes of everyone, just like the Taishaman in the mortal world. Although it had not reached the point of being the public enemy, at least it was no longer the leader of the Dao sects when Sect Master Wang and Sect Master Li were in office. Chapter 22-28. Yang Chen's family had already found a suitable place to undergo the tribulation. Millions of miles into the vast sea, there were no other cultivators except for the sea beasts. The few demons were also driven away by Ao Lan and Ao Lai, tens of thousands of miles away. This was the world of Yang Chen's family. Originally, it was just a super strong, earthly immortal tribulation, but when Lin Zhenyuan forcefully joined it, its nature changed immediately. In terms of real cultivation, Lin Zhenyuan was at the golden immortal level, so the earthly immortal tribulation instantly became a super strong Xian immortal tribulation with Lin Zhenyuan as the benchmark. Maybe because of the great increase in the power of the heavenly tribulation, Gong Sunling would get a lot of unexpected benefits, and the Mountain River geographical map would also become stronger. Sect Master Wu probably wouldn't understand why this happened, even if he cracked his head. He had clearly spared no effort in attacking the Zhao family. He had clearly helped the major sects find the spies hidden in the sections. The Mystic Heaven sect had clearly found, captured, and killed the side branch of the Zhao family. Why did everyone think that he was unreliable? Yang Lan's move was really amazing. He didn't let anyone speak ill of the Xintian sect, and he even exposed some of the big spies that the Zhao family had cultivated. Then, with a beautiful joint attack, all the major sect became suspicious of each other. Everyone believed that Gong Sunling could do this, so no one was worried. They were just curious. Why did Lin Zhenyuan do this? When all the heavenly tribulations stopped, Gong Sunling slowly descended from the sky. Seeing Lin Zhenyuan beside Yang Chun, everything was normal. Gong Sunling and the other girls cupped their hands and said, "Congratulations, senior." Yang Chen didn't doubt this at all. It was just a super strong Xian immortal tribulation, at most a golden immortal tribulation. It must be known that after the Mountain River geographical map merged with the 3 million-mile super immortals cave in the mansion of Madame Bai, it had withstood countless super strong Xian immortal tribulations. The current Mountain River geographical map was dozens of times stronger than that of that year. A mere Xian immortal tribulation was also a trivial matter for Gong Sunling. However, Lin Jingyuan's intervention made Yang Chun and the others speechless. Not to mention Lin Jingyuan's identity and status. Just the fact that he was half an idiot and didn't have any normal thinking was enough to make you unable to do anything to him. Who would bother with a fool? "Don't worry, husband." Gong Sunling's confident voice came at this moment. "I can handle it." Lin Jingyuan was still trying hard to recall under the stimulation of the murderous aura, but Gong Sunling had already begun to prepare for the tribulation. Originally, everyone thought that this tribulation should be in the bag and there would be no accidents, but an accident still suddenly occurred. The heavenly tribulation immediately found Lin Zhenyuan, who had stood out. Amidst the rumbling sounds, beams of powerful Xian immortal tribulation bombarded Lin Zhenyuan's body. Every time a heavenly tribulation fell, Lin Zhenyuan seemed to have broken a seal. After hundreds of Xian immortal tribulations, Lin Zhenyuan had completely become a normal cultivator and laughed out loud. Of course, Gong Sunling didn't let go of this opportunity. Under the condition of consciously letting a part of the Xian immortal tribulation into her body to temper her body, Gong Sunling's body was strengthened again. The spiritual power in her body quickly turned into the state after the tribulation, and she became a real fairy immortal expert. It was basically impossible to launch another attack against an expert who had recovered from the divine perching jade. If there was a second time, there was no third or fourth time. Under such circumstances, if there was still a sect that did not provide adequate protection, that sect master could immediately commit suicide to apologize to the world. Lin Jingyuan was very clear that because of his intervention, the earthly immortal tribulation had become a Xian immortal tribulation, which was forcibly raised by 2 levels. The difficulty of Gong Sunling's tribulation had increased by tens of thousands of times. However, he had no way to deal with it now. If he intervened again, it would only make the situation more serious. Lin Jingyuan still looked as if he had seen a ghost. He couldn't believe that the delicate woman in front of him, who was obviously only a fairy immortal, could so easily take on the Xian immortal tribulation that was suitable for her. As soon as the tribulation cloud appeared, Lin Jingyuan, who was in deep thought, suddenly had a clear look in his eyes. He suddenly stood up and went straight to the tribulation cloud in the sky, regardless of who was undergoing the tribulation. After experiencing these attacks, especially the deaths of Elder Feng of the Great Wilderness Sect, Lin Zhongshuan of the Xintian Sect, and the Golden Immortal Grandmaster of the Misty Mountain, everyone completely understood that even Golden Immortal experts were not invincible in the spiritual realm. When it was time to die, they would still die. Therefore, all the major sect became more cautious. However, Yang Chun was very clear about the benefits that this sudden increase in heavenly tribulation had brought to the Mountain River geographical map. The absorbed heavenly tribulation was directly sent to the demon realm by the 3rd primordial spirit. The super-strong Xian immortal tribulation exploded in the sky of the demon realm, purifying the area within hundreds of miles at once. Then, the Mountain River geographical map could immediately refine the land within hundreds of miles at a very fast speed. The Xintian sect, in particular, was regarded as having ulterior motives and was isolated. The Xintian sect still didn't know what everyone was thinking. If they knew, they would definitely be puzzled. However, the following performance of Gong Sunling made Lin Jingyuan dumbfounded. He looked at Gong Sunling, who was facing the super-strong Xian immortal tribulation in the sky, and couldn't say a word for a long time. His face was full of disbelief. Many sect even began to suspect that Lin Zhongshuan's death was really caused by some disgruntled disciples ordering servants to kill him, just like what the Xintian sect claimed. After all, everyone understood that Lin Zhongshuan was riding on their heads, and Sect Master Wu was definitely pretending to be a grandson. Who would benefit the most from Lin Zhongshuan's death? That person was the biggest suspect. Fortunately, Lin Jingyuan seemed to remember the kindness of Yang Chen's family and knew what the current situation was. He immediately retreated and gave the scene of the tribulation to Gong Sunling. He flew to Yang Chen's side. "Congratulations, senior." Yang Chen cupped his hands at Lin Jingyuan and said a word of congratulations without thinking about it. The women around him had also taken care of Lin Jingyuan before. When they saw this, they all cupped their hands and congratulated Lin Jingyuan. This was also the reason why one shouldn't intervene when someone was going through a tribulation. Even if an expert wanted to help, it would only make things worse. God wouldn't let people sit and enjoy the fruits of others' labor. At this time, intervening to help was simply killing people, not helping. The Mountain River geographical map once again became the clothes on Gong Sunling's body. All the heaven tribulations would be absorbed as soon as they got close to Gong Sunling. The mighty Xian immortal tribulation was actually resolved by Gong Sunling so easily and comfortably. She did it so easily, as if she was not facing the Xian immortal tribulation, but the simplest thunder tribulation during the nascent soul formation. "Thank you." Lin Jingyuan seemed to have just understood what had happened. His expression had not completely returned to normal, but he didn't forget that Gong Sunling was going through the tribulation. "There's no hurry. If there's anything, we can talk about it after your wife's tribulation." After saying that, he felt embarrassed and added an apology. Sorry, I implicated your wife this time. Chapter 22-29. After a while, Lin Jingyuan finally accepted the fact that Gong Sunling had safely passed the heavenly tribulation. Of course, the most important thing was that he recalled everything that had happened over the years, including the memories of Yang Chen's family helping him and the memories of Yang Chen using him to fight. When he thought of this, he wasn't surprised at all that Yang Chen's family was so abnormal. It was normal for Gong Sunling to pass the tribulation so easily. It would be an accident if she couldn't. Where is that place filled with killing intent? Lin Jingyuan remembered that he was stimulated by the killing intent when he arrived at that place. But he didn't know where it was no matter how hard he tried. At this time, he immediately asked, "The spiritual realm's valley of no return, one of the 3 great danger zones," Yang Chun answered quickly. "It's also the place where the immortal slaying stage discards corpses." Hearing the name Immortal Slaying Stage, even a pure golden immortal like Lin Jingyuan couldn't help but shiver, but he quickly recovered. "How do you know that it's the place where the Immortal Slaying Stage discards corpses?" Lin Jingyuan might be afraid, but he was still very curious. He was considered quite a figure in the immortal realm, but he actually didn't know that the spiritual realm's valley of no return was related to the Immortal Slaying Stage. "I've embarrassed myself in front of Senior. This junior is the executioner of the Immortal Slaying Stage." Yang Chen wasn't afraid of revealing his identity in the heavenly court to Lin Jingyuan. Many people already knew anyway, so it didn't matter much to Lin Jingyuan. As he said that, Yang Chen flashed the merit ring on his finger. Lin Jingyuan had been in the immortal realm for many years, and his father was an important minister in the heavenly court. How could he not recognize the merit ring? After taking a look, he no longer had any doubts and nodded silently. "Senior, this junior has offended you before and used your name in vain. I hope Senior can forgive me." Yang Chen cupped his hands and apologized again. Lin Jingyuan understood that this was Yang Chen's apology for using his name, but he didn't really mind it. He knew very well what kind of life he had led in the past. He wandered among the aboriginals and was discriminated against. Although no one dared to bully him, that kind of feeling was definitely not good. If it weren't for Yang Chen, he would still be muddle-headed among the natives, living a silly life. After Yang Chen's family found him, they provided him with good food, drinks, and fun. Their lives were completely different. From this point of view, he should thank Yang Chen, especially after A.O. Lai had accompanied him to fight and used the spirit-devouring dragonfire from time to time. He had developed an extremely strong resistance to the spirit-devouring dragonfire. This would be of great benefit to his future cultivation. This did not include the fact that Yang Chen had used his killing intent to stimulate him, and that he had completely recovered with the help of Gong Sunling's tribulation this time. These were all thanks to Yang Chen's family. Although Lin Jingyuan was an exalted gold immortal from the immortal plane, he knew how to repay kindness. "I should be the one thanking your family." Lin Jingyuan was indeed the son of a big shot in the immortal world. He was well-educated and reasonable. Now that he had recovered his senses, he immediately became a handsome young master. He also bowed to the juniors of Yang Chen's family very naturally, and did not feel embarrassed because of his identity and seniority. In fact, when he recalled his days among the aboriginals, he understood a lot of things. He could even accept the humiliation of the aboriginals without batting an eyelid. His state of mind had greatly improved, so it was not difficult for him to bow to Yang Chen. This was also one of the reasons why his father sent him down. On one hand, it was to avoid disaster, and on the other hand, it was to give him this kind of experience. This was an experience that he could not even beg for when he returned to the immortal world. Now it seemed that these two purposes had been achieved. "I have gained some benefits from this trip to the Valley of No Return." Yang Chen did not forget to deepen the favor he owed Lin Jingyi. He took out a heavenly essence pill and said, "This is a heavenly essence pill condensed from the essence of an infinite tribulation true immortal that I killed on the immortal beheading platform. It is very beneficial for cultivation. Senior, please accept it. It is also a token of my appreciation." Hiss. Although Lin Jingyuan was also the son of a big shot in the immortal world, he could not help but take a deep breath when he heard about the origin of the heavenly essence pill. It should be known that Lin Jingyuan was only a real gold immortal who had passed the tribulation. His father was an infinite tribulation true immortal, but not an experienced one. He probably knew what kind of person Yang Chan had killed. It was easy to imagine the value of this heavenly essence pill. He wanted to refuse and not owe this huge favor, but the temptation of the heavenly essence pill made him reluctant to make such a decision. When Lin Jingyuan's gaze landed on A.O. Lan, he suddenly understood. He no longer hesitated and reached out to take the heavenly essence pill that Yang Chun handed him. Even the dragon race was on the same side as Yang Chun. It was easy to imagine that Yang Chun owed a huge favor. In any case, Xiao Chun owed a lot of favors in the past. Like A.O. Lan, he did not need to worry when there were too many of them. It did not matter if he owed another one. At most, he would stand on Yang Chen's side like A.O. Lan and slowly pay his debts. Although he had already thought highly of the heavenly essence pill, Lin Jingyuan only realized that he had underestimated the heavenly essence pill after consuming it and circulating his qi for a full cycle. Lin Jingyuan could not help smiling bitterly. Originally, after he recovered, Lin Jingyuan had planned to ascend to the immortal world. There was no longer any need for him to remain in the spiritual world. He had already completed his experiential training. The immortal world's rebellion was over, and the profound heaven sect controlled the heavenly court. There was no need for him to avoid trouble. It was simply pointless for a bona fide golden immortal expert to play with a bunch of human immortals, earth immortals, and heavenly immortals in the spiritual world. However, Xiao Chun had not expected that the favor he owed Yang Chan was too great. One heavenly essence pill was equivalent to 10,000 years of bitter cultivation. How was Xiao Chan supposed to repay such a huge favor? This was not something that could be repaid just by taking care of Yang Chan after he ascended. Should I stay in the spiritual world and help Yang Chan? Just as Lin Jingyuan was hesitating, Madame Bai walked over with Hua Xing, and Hu Yuexian. When Lin Jingyuan saw Madame Bai, he felt a familiar aura. However, he could not put his finger on it. However, he recalled that he often saw Madame Bai in the Dragon Palace. She was not a stranger, so he greeted her in a friendly manner. Madame Bai was stunned. She was already used to Lin Jingyuan being a fool. Suddenly, Lin Jingyuan became normal and even greeted her. This stunned her. After being stunned for a while, Madame Bai returned a greeting. Then, she went to look for Yang Chan with a suspicious expression. When Madame Bai passed by, Lin Jingyuan suddenly recalled the familiar aura on Madame Bai. Xiao Chan had just recovered not long ago and had not completely digested the vast amount of memories in his mind. His slow reaction was understandable. Madame Bai gave off a heavy, immortal world aura. Madame Bai was also someone from the immortal world. Chapter 2230. After understanding this, Lin Jingyuan couldn't help but be surprised. What was so attractive about Yang Chan that he had another person from the celestial world by his side? Lin Jingyuan remembered that one of Yang Chen's wives, the zither player Zhou Xianying, was also from the celestial world. Zhou Xianying's cultivation and memories were sealed, so she didn't show much. But who was Lin Jingyuan? He immediately knew that she was from the celestial world. Now, there was another Madame Bai, but it was obvious that Madame Bai's cultivation was higher. She hid her aura better. Otherwise, Lin Jingyuan wouldn't have realized it so late. But in the next moment, Lin Jingyuan was stunned again. He suddenly realized that Madame Bai wasn't alone. She had thousands of beautiful maids by her side. The aura of those maids was exactly the same as Madame Bai's. More than 1,000 experts from the celestial world. No matter how famous Lin Jingyuan was in the celestial world, he knew what it meant in the spiritual realm. If Yang Chan wanted to, he could sweep through the entire spiritual realm right now. What about the trouble that Yang Chun told him about the Zhao family? Yang Chun could make the Zhao family disappear with a wave of his hand. What was the Xiantian sect? What were the big sects? In Yang Chen's Dragon Palace, all these powers added up wouldn't be enough for Madame Bai to kill. Lin Jingyuan only knew that Madame Bai's surname was Bai. He didn't know her real identity but he knew one thing. Madame Bai's cultivation in the lower realm was definitely higher than his and Zhou Xianying's. Otherwise, she wouldn't have hidden herself so well. Madame Bai was looking for Yang Chen now. Perhaps asking Madame Bai's identity would help Lin Jingyuan make the right decision. Madame Bai was indeed looking for Yang Chen. After accepting the heavenly essence pills from Li Cheng, even if Madame Bai lost all her memories, she knew that she owed him a huge favor. But luckily, Li Cheng had made it clear that when they went to the celestial world in the future, she would find that person to return the favor. That way, she wouldn't have any psychological burden. Even so, Madame Bai was still worried. Madame Bai had always felt that the man was heartless and had banished her to a grave. But when she heard that Li Cheng was going to make trouble for her, she still felt her heart ache, especially when she knew how powerful Li Cheng was. Knowing that Yang Chen and Li Cheng were close friends, Madame Bai was smart. She did not break through Li Cheng's side. Instead, she specifically looked for Yang Chen. With Yang Chen's help in the future, that person might be able to be blackmailed less. This time, he was looking for Yang Chen for no other reason than Hua Xing, and Hu Yuexian. Because of their relationship with Madame Bai, the two of them also received 2 heavenly vitality pills. As soon as this miraculous pill entered their stomachs, the 2 women understood that this was a true treasure of heaven and earth. Of course, Hua Xing, and Hu Yuexian gave Yang Chen the credit for refining the heavenly yuan pill. Yang Chen was originally an alchemy grandmaster, and this time, in the hearts of the 2 women, his title of alchemy super grandmaster was solidified. Although the 2 women obtained the heavenly yuan pill, and their cultivation levels increased rapidly, they were different from Yang Chen's wives and concubines. Yang Chen's wives and concubines had fought their way through battles, and with Yang Chen's help, they could go through all kinds of training. Their mental states were extremely strong, but Hua Xing and Hu Yuexian did not have such experiences, so naturally, it brought about the problem of insufficient mental states. Unfortunately, Hua Xing, and Hu Yuexian were the key to nurturing Hong Zhuang's heart, so there could not be any problems. This put Madame Bai in a difficult position. She could only look for Yang Chen to help solve this problem. How difficult can it be? Yang Chen was not concerned about this. Send them to the demon realm to be killed. First kill hundreds of thousands of living beings, then place them among the aborigines. Just like the game that the seniors played, take it slowly. Madame Bai valued Hong Zhuang's heart too much and protected the 2 women very well. Even when they were training in the demon realm, she did not forget to settle the 2 women down and did not let them risk their lives in the demon realm. This was also because his heart was too tense. It was like loving an exceptionally exquisite porcelain and immediately protecting it, but forgetting that the porcelain was still meant to be used. Madame Bai was also an intelligent person and understood immediately. It was just that she was blinded by Hong Zhuang's heart and immediately understood what Yang Chen meant. She waved her hands at Yang Chen, then swaggered away with Hua Xing, and Hu Yuexian, heading straight for the demon realm. As long as she protected them secretly, it would be a good thing to let them kill and train. After Madame Bai left, Lin Jingyuan slowly came over. He did not hide his purpose, and curiously asked about Madame Bai's identity. You mean Madame Bai? Yang Chen was stunned. He thought that Lin Jingyuan was looking for him for something important. Lin Jingyuan nodded. He wanted to know Madame Bai's identity. Yang Chen frowned, and did not know if he should tell Lin Jingyuan. After a while, Yang Chen still spoke with reservations. Madame Bai is from the celestial realm. I believe Senior Lin already knows. Yang Chen first said the most general thing about her identity. Lin Jingyuan nodded. If Madame Bai was not from the celestial realm, he would not care who she was. That was why he was curious. Madame Bai's situation is special. A powerful expert sealed their memories and cultivation, so they cannot remember their own identity. Yang Chen still chose to tell him about Madame Bai's situation. Even the memories of that expert are sealed, so they cannot remember the identity of that expert. This was not surprising. Whether it was Lin Jingyuan or Zhou Xianying, didn't they all have their memories sealed? Lin Jingyuan was lucky that his cultivation wasn't sealed. It was just hidden so that others couldn't detect it directly. This was basically the way the celestial realm sent people down, so Lin Jingyuan was already used to it. In addition, Madame Bai's surname is Bai. Yangchen once again solemnly said nonsense. Nonsense. Would Madame Bai's surname be He? Lin Jingyuan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Did Yangchen really think of him as an idiot? Madame Bai only remembers her maiden name. Yangchen ignored Lin Jingyuan's dissatisfaction and continued. Her maiden name is Peony. Junior can only say this much. I can't say any more. By Peony? Lin Jingyuan understood what Yangchen meant. If he knew, then he knew. If he didn't know, then Yangchen would not say anything. So, he began to think about the name By Peony. The more Lin Jingyuan thought about it, the more familiar the name became. However, he had just returned to normal, so his memory was still very messy. He really could not remember who By Peony was. Yangchen didn't care and walked away, leaving Lin Jingyuan alone to rack his brains to recall who the white peony was. So it's her. A few days later, Lin Jingyuan suddenly slapped his thigh and shouted. Then, he shouted in shock, "How can it be her?" Chapter 22:31. Lin Jingyuan did remember who By Peony was. However, he soon remembered who By Peony's man was. When Xiao Chun thought of that person, he could not help but let out a mournful wail. Xiao Chun had nothing better to do than to be curious about Madame Bai's identity. Now that he knew, he could not ascend. It was not because his cultivation was not high enough, but because Lin Jingyuan did not dare to ascend. If Xiao Chun did not know Madame Bai's identity, he would not ascend. No one would say anything. However, Xiao Chun insisted on being curious. In the end, after learning Madame Bai's true identity, he did not ascend. If that person knew that Xiao Chun watched Madame Bai get trapped in the battle between the Zhao clan and the other sect factions and did nothing, even though Xiao Chun's father was a major character, if that person pursued the matter, both of them would not be able to bear the consequences. Others might not know how powerful that person was, but how could Xiao Chun not know? If Xiao Chun dared to do that, when that person recovered, the consequences would be unimaginable. However, Lin Jingyuan still held on to a glimmer of hope. He whispered to Yangchen, "Did you meet that person at the Immortal slaying platform? What do you think?" Yangchen rolled his eyes at Lin Jingyuan. He did not show Lin Jingyuan any respect just because Lin Jingyuan was a golden Immortal senior. He still had the necessary etiquette, but it was completely different from the respect he showed to Madame Bai. No matter how stupid Lin Jingyuan was, he could tell many things from Yangchen's attitude. Xiao Chun smiled bitterly in his heart. Originally, he could ascend after recovering his consciousness and not get involved in the spiritual realm's matters. However, he no longer had that opportunity. It was not that he could not ascend, but that he did not dare to. No matter what, he had to help Yangchen take care of Madame Bai. He did not want to burden himself for no reason. "Senior, there is no need to worry." Yangchen could tell that Lin Jingyuan was vexed. He smiled and advised, "Just do what you need to do. This junior can take care of Madame Bai." Lin Jingyuan did not doubt Xiao Chen's words at all. Not to mention anything else, just the two dragon race experts on Yangchen's side, Ao Lan and Ao Lai, were sufficient to do that. They might not be able to attack a city, but they were more than enough to protect Madame Bai, who was in the Mountain River geographical map. However, as mentioned before, Lin Jingyuan wasn't a fool. Being able to leave a huge favor for that person was much more worthwhile than ascending 1,000 years earlier. Moreover, he had always owed Yangchen a favor. Staying behind to help was also a way to repay the favor. Lin Jingyuan was influenced by what he saw and heard in the immortal world, so he understood it better than ordinary cultivators. "I think I'll stay." Lin Jingyuan smiled. "Ask your wife to prepare good wine and dishes for me. I want to enjoy a few meals." As he spoke, Lin Jingyuan also revealed a drooling expression. Thinking back to the time when his consciousness was sealed, the delicacies that Gong Sunling brought him were still memorable. With the help of a true tribulation transcending Golden Immortal, it seemed like an additional tribulation transcending Golden Immortal could speed up the refinement of the demonic world. Naturally, Yangchen was happy. After exchanging some pleasantries, Lin Jingyuan purposely befriended Xiao Chun and the gap in seniority between the two disappeared. It was like the relationship between Lin Jingyuan and Yang Chen of the past. Yang Chen was very happy to have an additional tribulation transcending golden immortal, Lin Jingyuan, by his side. This was no longer the Lin Jingyuan of the past, who only reacted to killing Qi. Instead, this was the Lin Jingyuan of the past, a true expert who could communicate and take the initiative to make a move. Furthermore, Xiao Chun was different from Madame Bai and the others. Madame Bai and the others could only do their best to serve Xiao Chun. They could only make a move when they had no other choice. Lin Jingyuan was different. He could be pulled out to fight at any time. He owed Yang Chun a huge favor, so he had to repay it. When the favor reached a certain point, it would become karma. Lin Jingyuan's situation was more or less like this. It was the same for Madame Bai. It was just that the favor Madame Bai owed was repaid by another person. He originally thought that Lin Jingyuan would ascend, but he stayed behind out of curiosity. This was a great help, and Yang Chun was very happy. As for how to arrange Lin Jingyuan's life, Yang Chun was still a little worried. It wasn't that it wasn't easy, but he was afraid that Lin Jingyuan would think that he was arranging his life. Unexpectedly, Lin Jingyuan didn't need him to worry at all. Lin Jingyuan took the initiative to request to go to the demon realm. Although he wouldn't face much danger in the demon realm with his tribulation transcending golden immortal strength, the atmosphere would still make him feel a sense of urgency in battle. What Lin Jingyuan really needed now was to slowly digest the life experiences he had during this period of time when he lost his active consciousness. From there, he could improve his state of mind. In such an intense training, he could maintain sufficient pressure, and at the same time, he could slowly digest what he had learned. It was killing two birds with one stone. Of course, Yang Chun was very happy with this initiative. He satisfied all of Lin Jingyuan's requests. He even specially reserved a guest room in the five-element dragon palace for Lin Jingyuan, the one he used to live in. Only now did Lin Jingyuan realize that he had been living in the five-element dragon palace with Yang Chun all this while. Great, another favor. In any case, if Lin Jingyuan thought about it carefully, there would definitely be many such favors. Right now, Lin Jingyuan was like a dead pig that did not fear boiling water. He would swallow the benefits that Yang Chen sent and slowly repay them. On this point, he had already become somewhat similar to Ao Lan. As Yang Chen's family cultivated in the deep sea, Yang Chen did not forget to give Yang Lan a hint. He only gave Yang Lan some information about the Valley of No Return in the spiritual sense imprint that Yang Lan left behind. Valley of No Return. Super powerful magic treasure. Kill the perfected golden immortal. Refining in progress. It was just a few short and connected words that allowed Yang Lan to immediately understand what Yang Chen was doing. After sending these words over, Yang Chen completely closed the connection with Yang Lan again and began to cultivate on his own. He believed that Yang Lan would help him settle the rest of the matters. Sure enough, Yang Lan instantly understood what Yang Chen was doing. Moreover, he could feel that these intermittent expressions of Yang Chen were very true. There was no sign of lying at all. In fact, this was indeed the case. The Valley of No Return was not wrong. The Immortal Beheading Platform was a super powerful magic treasure. Killing a perfected golden immortal was not wrong. Refining it was also not wrong. It was completely made up of the truth. How could it feel fake? Aside from the profound heaven sect, Yang Chen was the second person that Yang Lan wanted to kill. Over the years, the more famous Yang Chen became, the greater the things he did, and the higher his achievements, the more Yang Lan hated him in his heart. Yang Lan could not stand a tenant's son climbing over his head. If Yang Chen wanted to do something, he would definitely destroy it. Chapter 2232. The Valley of No Return was not an ordinary place, and all the cultivators understood this. In particular, none of the people who entered the Valley of No Return had come out, which confirmed this statement. When he thought that Yang Chen had found a magic weapon in the spiritual world that could kill a great principal golden immortal, the imbalance in Yang Lan's heart became more and more serious. The jealousy in his heart was burning. If he didn't destroy Yang Chen's wishful thinking, Yang Lan couldn't even sleep. However, Yang Lan didn't have the courage to go to the Valley of No Return by himself. He had just recovered his cultivation base, and at most, he was at the level of a human immortal. How many heaven immortals and Xian immortals had entered the Valley of No Return and did not come out? He was just a little human immortal. How could he dare to rush in? Don't look at Yang Chen being able to go in, but Yang Lan didn't know how Yang Chen got in from Yang Chen's mind. Not to mention going to the Valley of No Return, now Yang Lan didn't even have the possibility of leaving the Zhao family. Therefore, naturally, the task of destroying Yang Chen's good deeds fell on the head of the Zhao family. Yang Lan was now the advisor of the current Zhao family master, and he could make suggestions on many things. But there was one thing that Yang Lan couldn't let the Zhao family know, that he had slowly controlled a group of people, so he could only use the method of beating around the bush. The source of the news was impossible for Yang Lan to directly say that he controlled Yang Chen. He could only think of ways from the intelligence collected from the outside, and at the same time, he did not forget to control several masters of the major sect to send him the information he wanted. It was said that it was intelligence, but in fact, it was all constructed by Yang Lan with his own ideas, which could make the Zhao family master feel that it was necessary to make a move. The most important point was that it could kill a great principal golden immortal. This was leaked from the hands of important figures in the Xiantian sect and several other sects. When it was concentrated in the Zhao family master was completely unable to control his greed. The news from the Monster Bee space was that the major sect had sent masters, one of whom was a great principal golden immortal. They already knew Zhou Sheng's identity, but sometimes when facing Zhou Sheng, they had to temporarily avoid him. Now that a super magic weapon that could kill a perfected golden immortal had suddenly appeared, it would be strange if the Zhao family's master could still sit still. They thought that Yang Chen had just found a treasure recorded in some things, but they didn't expect that it was a super magic weapon that could kill a Zenith Heaven golden immortal. Moreover, it was being refined by someone. This made them feel a sense of urgency. Yang Chen was definitely on the side of the major sects, even if Xintian sect had long been displeased with Chunyang Palace, and Chunyang Palace did not like Xintian sect either. The Zhao family was the common enemy of all the sect, so Yang Chen was definitely an enemy of the Zhao family. No matter what, they couldn't let Yang Chen have his way with this super magic treasure. The reason why the cultivators who entered the Valley of No Return couldn't come out was because their cultivation level wasn't high enough. At most, they were at the Xian Immortal stage. Perhaps for the cultivators in the spiritual world, the Valley of No Return was a forbidden place for cultivation, but for the real golden immortal stage experts, it was another matter. The Zhao family had a lot of backups. Although Lin Zhongshuan killed half of the golden immortal stage experts in the Zhao family's lair, there was more than one golden immortal stage expert in the Zhao family. Otherwise, how could they resist Zhou Sheng and a group of golden immortals? When necessary, they also needed to send a golden immortal stage expert into the Valley of No Return. With so many cultivators paying attention to the Valley of No Return, how could the Zhao family let it go? Even among the cultivators who had entered the Valley of No Return, there were people from the Zhao family. It was just that after entering, they never came out, so they didn't know what happened inside. However, according to the information sent by Yang Lan from the outside, it was estimated that it was a disaster. But this did not prevent the Zhao family from sending a golden immortal stage expert into the Valley of No Return. No matter how strong the spiritual world was, it was useless against a real golden immortal stage expert. Without reaching that level of strength, it couldn't cause any harm to a golden immortal stage expert. Only an opponent who had reached the same golden immortal stage could deal with a real golden immortal stage expert. Soon, the Zhao family sent a golden immortal stage expert. He wanted to quietly leave the trial ground without alarming anyone from the major sect. He wanted to slowly sneak into the vicinity of the Valley of No Return and then sneak in. The first task was to get that super magic treasure, and the second was to kill Yang Chen. Yang Chen's divine perching jade and elixirs had brought a lot of trouble to the Zhao family. If he killed Yang Chen, he might even be able to get his family's wealth. The Zhao family, including Yang Lan, were actually a little regretful. If they knew that Yang Chun could find the treasure in the Valley of No Return, they should have taken a step earlier. Now that the trial ground had been cracked, it was the Zhao family's lair. There was a super magic treasure in the Valley of No Return. Then what was the third dangerous place? Mount Tianju? If they went in earlier, would they be able to find some treasures too? Therefore, there was a secret task in the Golden Immortal Stage Expert's task, which was to go to Mount Tianju if there was a chance after coming out of the Valley of No Return. After all, he had obtained the super magic treasure, so Mount Tianju should be safer. The reason why he didn't treat it as a task that had to be completed was because Yang Chun had given him a deadline of 1,000 years. If Yang Chun needed 1,000 years to refine it with his earthly immortal cultivation, then a Golden Immortal Stage Expert would need at least 100 years. Who knew what would happen in 100 years? If there was a war with the Zhao family, then it would naturally be the Zhao family. This Golden Immortal Stage Expert would only go to Mount Tianju when there was no interference. For a Golden Immortal Stage Expert, it was a piece of cake to avoid the surveillance of some Heaven Immortals and Xian Immortals in the hundreds of thousands of miles of defense line. Very easily, he left the trial ground and rushed towards the Valley of No Return. The Valley of No Return was not far from the trial ground, only a few 100,000 miles. Even if he hid, it would only take a few days to reach the place. Since Yang Chun had already opened the way in front, this Golden Immortal Stage Expert didn't need to be so unconventional. He followed to the small town that was formed later on, disguised himself as a Heaven Immortal cultivator, and began to ask about the Valley of No Return nonchalantly. He thought that the cultivators here would be very sensitive and would act as if they were facing a great enemy when they heard him asking about it. However, when he carefully drank with another cultivator for a long time before leading the topic to the Valley of No Return in Yang Chun, he was immediately despised. "You just came." It wasn't the cultivator who answered, but the waiter of the hotel next to him. This one sentence caused this Golden Immortal Stage Expert to be stunned for a long time. Did he make a mistake somewhere? Should he silence him? If you want to ask about Master Yang, just say it. It's not a secret here. The waiter said with a smile. What does this customer want to know? Basically, I know everything about Master Yang from the moment he came here to the moment he went in. Chapter 2233. The Golden Immortal Master was not surprised. After all, he had been here for so many years. It was normal for him to know some things. Since the other person had pointed it out, he simply threw a large piece of spirit stone to the shop assistant and asked him to explain in detail. It didn't matter if he didn't listen, but after listening, even the Golden Immortal Master couldn't help but be dumbfounded. This shop assistant knew a lot. Not only did he clearly explain when Master Yang went in, how did he go in, how did the people behind him follow, and why didn't they come out, but he also said something even more surprising. He actually knew what was the situation in the Valley of No Return now. How was this possible? But it sounded fake. Could it be that the Valley of No Return was now open for people to enter and exit? What the Golden Immortal Master didn't know was that it had been more than 10 years since the last batch of hundreds of cultivators went in. During these years, there were already cultivators with high cultivation who began to explore the Valley of No Return. However, these cultivators were more cautious. They would go in and explore for a while before returning. Because there was no blood corpse, and the blood river was also swallowed by the earth dragon, as long as they could withstand the killing intent overflowing from the immortal beheading stage, they could naturally return easily. The Valley of No Return was no longer the Valley of No Return of the past. As long as one did not enter the Valley of No Return, as long as one did not enter the corpse dump entrance, if the cultivators wanted to leave, they could almost leave at any time. Hearing this, the Golden Immortal Master's face couldn't help but change. If one could come and go freely inside, then he was afraid that the purpose of this trip would not be achieved. It's just that the shop assistant didn't say many things in detail. The Golden Immortal Master knew when to use tough means and when to give out benefits. Without hesitation, he threw a large piece of spirit stone over and asked the shop assistant to explain in detail. With a large piece of spirit stone, the The shop assistant's attitude became more and more enthusiastic. He described the situation inside from beginning to end, including what kind of big pit it was, a square opening floating in the air, and from the opening he could see the broadsword on the double dragon brackets and so on. He described it clearly and clearly. The Golden Immortal Master finally understood. The Valley of No Return was actually the Valley of No Return, but what everyone entered was not the real Valley of No Return. Only the inside of the square entrance was the real Valley of No Return. Entering without exiting and leaving without returning referred to the inside, not the outside. In fact, the people who entered later could not see any valley terrain at all. There was only a deep pit. In the past, be it mountains or rivers, they were all swallowed by the earth dragon in one gulp, leaving nothing behind. Therefore, the cultivators who entered later naturally regarded the entrance floating in the air as the Valley of No Return. There were already cultivators who proved that as long as one could withstand the killing intent outside the entrance, they would be able to move freely. But once they entered, they would not be able to come out in a short period of time. Those who could enter this place were at least heaven immortals. Many earth immortals could not withstand the extremely terrifying killing intent within a few hundred miles and hurriedly retreated. Even so, there were still many cultivators who were unwilling to give up. Back then, Grandmaster Yang had entered the town with the cultivation base of an earthen immortal. Thus, the town was still very lively even now. Many cultivators treated the town as a supply base. Unwilling to give up, they kept going back and forth to search the town. At this point, the Golden Immortal expert had already understood a lot, and he felt a sense of relief. It seemed that the news the family had received was not false. That super magic treasure had not been refined by anyone yet. At the very least, there were quite a number of cultivators who had entered the real Valley of No Return. There were even heavenly immortals and arcane immortals there. If you were to be late in entering, not even dregs of the good items would be left behind. Without further ado, the Golden Immortal expert did not care about anything else as he got up and left. The shop assistant had seen countless cultivators like this over the years. Almost all the cultivators who heard the news for the first time were like this. This allowed the shop assistant to earn quite a bit. However, he did not know if this person could come back or not. The Golden Immortal expert did not want to know any of these things. After understanding the details, in less than half an incense's time, he had already appeared in the array of the Valley of No Return. The moment he entered, he knew that the shop assistant was not lying. The Golden Immortal expert tried to enter and exit the array a few times. Indeed, he was able to advance and retreat freely. Only then did he nod his head in satisfaction and headed towards the depths. Even though there were no more blood corpses and blood rivers, the killing intent within was already terrifying enough after decades of seeping out. Even the Golden Immortal expert could not help but shiver when he first entered. It took him a while to adapt before he could move freely. Fortunately, there were no enemies here. Otherwise, the battle would not have been so smooth. The Golden Immortal expert was a cautious person. Otherwise, he would not have such achievements. His speed of advancement was not fast, just like Yang Chen's walking speed in the past. It was not that he was not in a hurry to snatch the super magic treasure. On one hand, walking slower would allow him to observe the surrounding situation. On the other hand, he could also take the opportunity to adapt to this place. Those who rushed forward as soon as they entered were destined to not have a good ending. The Golden Immortal expert firmly believed this. After cautiously walking for a few thousand miles, the Golden Immortal expert finally saw the floating opening that the shop assistant mentioned. It was a very magical place. With one look, the Golden Immortal expert could almost determine that this was the entrance to a space. Through that opening, the Golden Immortal expert also saw the ghost head broadsword that was placed on top of the twin dragon bracket. Waves of killing intent emanated from the saber. It was as if all the killing intent within the 10,000-mile radius of the array formation came from that saber. This broadsword was probably the super magic treasure that could kill a Golden Immortal. For no reason, the Golden Immortal expert felt a sense of familiarity. Soon he understood what it was. This was the aura of the immortal world. The aura of that broadsword definitely had the aura of the immortal world. The golden immortal expert had been in the immortal world for many years. He was too familiar with this kind of aura. The cautious golden immortal expert did not go in directly. Instead, he carefully observed from the outside. At the same time, he released his spiritual consciousness to explore the situation inside. Unfortunately, no matter how much he released his spiritual consciousness, he could not detect the situation inside. It seemed like everything could only be done after going in. There were no cultivators around. The golden immortal expert tidied up the magic treasures on his person and prepared himself for battle. Then, he turned to look at the ghost-headed great blade, which was overflowing with killing intent before flying into the square-shaped hole on the wall. He had already made up his mind. No matter who was inside, no matter what they were doing, he would kill them first. That ghost-head broadsword that could kill a golden immortal was definitely his. Chapter 2234. The people outside had never seen the figure of a golden immortal master, at least not for decades. The town on the outskirts of the Valley of No Return was also missing a stranger who passed by in a hurry. No one would care. The Zhao family did not respond to this at all. They knew that it took hundreds of years, or even longer, to refine a super magic weapon. Wasn't it normal for there to be no news for a few decades? Yang Lan was still dreaming of Yang Chen being killed and the super magic weapon being taken away. The Zhao family was also dreaming of getting a super magic weapon to kill Zhou Sheng, a great principal golden immortal. Unfortunately, this was destined to be just a dream, and there would be no time to return to reality. The major sect was still looking forward to the miracle of Zhou Sheng and the others. Those ancestors would defeat the masters of the Zhao family and then return to their respective sect. As for Zhou Sheng and the others, they were now fighting hard and hiding hard. Unexpectedly, the Zhao family had such a big scene in the demon beast space. Even with Zhou Sheng's great principal golden immortal cultivation base, he could only be on par with them. It was already the limit to ensure that the golden immortal masters who followed them did not die. As for destroying the arrangements of the Zhao family, they could only take one step at a time. If there was a golden immortal master outside the demon beast space at this time, it would probably be the last straw that broke the camel's back. The Zhao family originally had this opportunity, but unfortunately, they cared too much about the super magic weapon that could kill a great principal golden immortal, so that the golden immortal master plunged into the beheading immortal platform and never came out. No one didn't know that with just a thought of Yang Chen, the Zhao family, who originally had the upper hand in the top combat power, inexplicably lost a golden immortal master, so that the combat power between the Zhao family and the major sect once again reached a balance. In the blink of an eye, another 50 years had passed. During these 50 years, no one knew how many cultivators had come to explore the Valley of No Return, but there was still a very obvious rule. More people went in, and less people came out. Only the cultivators in the town who lived here were spared. Those who wanted to try their luck basically entered the array formation and saw the entrance. Almost all of them went in. Everyone felt that they were the protagonist of life, and all the good things should be enjoyed by themselves. Even if everyone fought for it, maybe they had a chance. Everyone believed that they were blessed with good fortune, and that there would be times when a golden pie fell from the sky and fell into their hands. Their disappearance once again spread the reputation of the Valley of No Return, attracting more and more people to come. Yang Chen was now a sky immortal expert. More than 10 years ago, he had already attained the cultivation of a heavenly immortal, but he had been forcefully suppressing his tribulation. Now, Yang Chen finally felt that there was no need to suppress it anymore and began to face the tribulation. Before Yang Chen, all the girls had already passed their heavenly immortal tribulations. Under the effect of the heavenly Yuan pill, everyone's cultivation was still advancing by leaps and bounds. If anyone could see them, they would definitely be shocked. In a mere 100 years, everyone's cultivation had actually surpassed the celestial immortal realm. What kind of concept was this? The tribulation clouds in the sky had begun to condense, and Yang Chen was ready. Apart from transcending the tribulation this time, Yang Chen actually had two other intentions. One was to thoroughly cultivate the body-refining technique of the yellow turban strongman to the peak of the sky, and the other was to thoroughly refine the golden bell of the dragon clan. For Yang Chun, the heavenly tribulation was no longer just a heavenly tribulation, but a means for him to temper his body and magic weapon. This is the real attitude towards the heavenly tribulation. Elder Brother Li Chung was very appreciative of this. When discussing with Yang Chun before, he said such words: "If you regard the heavenly tribulation as a test and tribulation, it will always be inferior. Even if you can get through it by luck, your future achievements will not be high. Cultivation is to face everything with a normal mind. The same goes for the heavenly tribulation. It is just a tool for your cultivation." With such a mentality, when facing the heavenly tribulation, Yang Chun found that he was not nervous at all. Even if the earth immortal tribulation for him was at least 100 times more powerful than the Xian immortal tribulation, Yang Chun did not panic at all. Instead, he took the initiative to face the heavenly tribulation. His body seemed to be bathed in the heavenly tribulation, and even the golden bell in his body was completely integrated with his body. The extra part was used to temper his body, and the immortal beheading blade was also tempered again. From the beginning to the end, Yang Chun was very calm and relaxed. However, the more he behaved like this, the more tame the heavenly tribulations seemed to be. There were so many heavenly tribulations, but Yang Chun just stretched out a finger and then reached into it. The mighty heavenly tribulation dissipated easily under a finger, and not even a speck of dust was blown away. That's it. This was the first time Lin Jingyuan saw Yang Chun transcend the tribulation. Seeing the scene, he could not believe his eyes. The heavenly tribulation just now was not normal, and it was definitely not an ordinary earth immortal tribulation. Lin Jingyuan could even sense the power of a few golden immortal tribulations. Even Lin Jingyuan did not dare to say that he was sure that he could withstand such a powerful heavenly tribulation, but Yang Chun took it so easily that Lin Jingyuan, a golden immortal, thought that he was hallucinating. What else do you want? Husband has always been like this when transcending tribulations. Sun Qingxue used to like to tease Lin Jingyuan, and at this time, she did not change her attitude and said it casually. The girls had seen Yang Chun transcend tribulation many times, so they did not find it strange at all. The last time there was a golden immortal tribulation, Yang Chun easily swallowed it in one gulp. This time, his cultivation was higher, so what was the difference? Worry. Was that necessary? Lin Jingyuan suddenly realized that he could not understand the spiritual realm. How could this be? When an Earth Immortal Junior transcended the heavenly tribulation, he attracted a golden immortal tribulation, but the surrounding people did not find it strange at all. Could it be that he was behind the times and did not understand that the world was changing quickly? However, this heavenly tribulation also made Lin Jingyuan see himself clearly. In terms of seniority, he might be a very high golden immortal senior, and in terms of cultivation, his realm was definitely high, but in terms of combat power, a golden immortal senior like him was probably not in the eyes of the family in front of him. Lin Jingyuan had seen geniuses, but he had never seen such monstrous geniuses like Yang Chen's family. If any of the women were taken out alone, they would be the most outstanding disciples that could make the major sects fight over them. Unexpectedly, they were all Yang Chen's wives and concubines. Wasn't Yang Chen's luck too good? With your cultivation and strength, you can do anything in the spiritual realm. Lin Jingyuan had also learned about the discord between Yang Chun and the Xintian sect these days. You could just kill your way to the Xintian sect and destroy it. Why are you still cooperating? On the one hand, there are some things that I want to wait for the higher-ups to resolve completely. Yang Chun did not hide this from Lin Jingyuan. He replied with a smile. On the other hand, I actually have my eyes on the foundation of the Xintian sect. Chapter 2235. In his previous life, the enmity between Yang Chun and Profound Heaven sect was as deep as the sea. In this life, Yang Chun had been taking revenge ever since he was in the mortal world. But now, Yang Chun seems to have rarely made a move. Naturally, it wasn't because Yang Chun had let go of this enmity. Just as he answered Lin Jingyuan, he had his eyes on Profound Heaven Sect's foundation. If Profound Heaven Sect was still led by Sect Master Wang or Sect Master Li, Yang Chun couldn't see any hope of controlling Profound Heaven Sect. Thus, he would naturally think of ways to exterminate Profound Heaven Sect. But now, Yang Chun had changed his mind. With Sect Master Wu, the new Sect Master of Profound Heaven Sect who had unknowingly helped him, he might be able to dig the entire foundation of Profound Heaven Sect into his hands. This was the first time Yang Chun had expressed his wishes to others. Lin Jingyuan didn't comment on this. He didn't have a good or bad impression of Profound Heaven Sect, so it didn't matter. This was the first time the girls heard Yang Chun say this. Of course, their attitude was definitely to support and not to oppose. Only Tao Junkie was from Profound Heaven Sect and had a lot of feelings for Profound Heaven Sect. In the past, she already knew that Yang Chun's attitude towards Profound Heaven Sect wasn't friendly. She was stuck between her husband and the sect, so it was very difficult for her to choose. However, Sect Master Wu's recent actions made Tao Junkie hate Profound Heaven Sect more and more. Hearing Yang Chun's words, Tao Junkie's first reaction was that her husband was thinking about her so that she wouldn't become a traitor. For a moment, Tao Junkie didn't know how to express her gratitude to her husband for his consideration. She threw herself into Yang Chun's arms and hugged him tightly without saying anything. Everyone's cultivation had a huge increase, including golden immortal experts like A.O. Lan and Lin Jingyuan. In just a few decades, Lin Jingyuan even felt that he had broken through 2 small realms. One had to know that at golden immortal level, it would take about 200 years or even longer to break through a small realm. Furthermore, all of this happened in the spiritual realm, where the spiritual pressure was incomparable to the immortal realm. Lin Jingyuan couldn't help but sigh at the miraculousness of the heavenly essence pill. A.O. Lan and A.O. Lai had both improved greatly. Even Madame Bai and the others, who were sealed, had improved greatly. Hua Xing, and Hu Yuexian, the 2 with the lowest cultivation, were almost at the peak of the earthly immortal stage. The 2 women's experience in the devil realm over the years had directly improved their combat effectiveness by several levels. The process of refining the demon world had also improved. Under the influence of the heavenly spirits, an earthly fiend's formation laid out by the heavenly Yuan pill, almost half of the demon world had been refined. According to this speed, Big Brother Li Cheng estimated that he could completely refine the devil world in another 300 years. The reason for the difference was that the closer the devil realm was to the connection point of the heavenly court, the more difficult it was to refine it. Right now, Big Brother Li Cheng had yet to completely refine all the natal magic treasures from the immortal world. He had yet to complete the magic treasure that sealed the connection point. Maintaining this speed was already his limit. In the Mountain River geographical map, there were already tens of millions of human immortal disciples. The ascension of the natives of the spiritual realm, the ascension of the demon race in the super cave abode, and the ascension of the demonized demon beasts in the demonic tribulation caused the number of cultivators in the spiritual realm to increase. If this powerful force was taken out, no matter which sect in the spiritual realm, it would be impossible to compete with it. The absolute advantage in quantity brought about a further improvement in the Mountain River geographical map. Under the complementarity, the speed of refining the demon world was a bit faster. The outside world was also like Big Brother Li Cheng's estimation. There was no news in the demon beast space. Zhou Sheng also brought a bunch of golden immortal masters to fight with the Zhao family. The Zhao family was also harassed. In the spiritual realm, the Zhao family and the major sect were still in a relative balance. Although some small-scale battles were inevitable, the 2 sides were also evenly divided, and no one dared to relax their vigilance. Everyone understood that the real decisive game was in the demon beast space, between Zhou Sheng and those golden immortal masters. No matter which side won, it meant a complete victory. The major sect were also anxiously waiting for the result of the battle in the demon beast space. And, at the same time, they were preparing in their respective sect. The gadget that Yang Chen left for the Palace Master in an emergency had never been activated. This also showed that the Chunyang Palace was now calm. Occasionally, there were small frictions, and the sect would solve them themselves. From the moment the Mountain Gate was rebuilt for the 5th time, Chunyang Palace actually had the qualifications to stand in the spiritual realm. Even without the protection of the major sect, Chunyang Palace could also stand in the spiritual realm with its own strength. This was the independent and self-reliant Chunyang Palace that Yang Chen wanted to see. Everything was normal in the outside world, so Yang Chen's family continued to do their own things on the deep sea side. The second primordial spirit never stopped refining the immortal beheading stage. Because of the integration of tens of thousands of merit rings, the control of the immortal beheading stage had increased by tens of thousands of times. After decades, almost 1/8 of the refining had been completed. Counting the days, it was estimated that when the demon realm was almost refined, it would also be the day when the immortal beheading stage was refined. In addition to cultivation, Yang Chen's body was integrating the cultivation methods. Yang Chen was already very familiar with the heaven and earth treasure-raising secret art, so in the first 50 years, he had almost completely integrated the heaven and earth treasure-raising secret art into the golden body secret art. Now the golden bell had completely integrated with Yang Chen's body. Whether it was the heavenly spirit treasure refining secret art, the earth fiend sacrificial formation secret art, or the heaven and earth treasure raising secret art, they were all refining methods, refining Yang Chen's body more and more refined. Even if Yang Chen entered the demon realm and did not move, those demonic beasts could not hurt Yang Chen. During the integration, Yang Chen's merit value flowed out like it was free. It was indeed worthy of being a refining method passed down by the Taoist ancestor. It was dangerous to fuse them together. Fortunately, he had the merit chapter to protect him, so he could go from barely combining them to proficiently fusing them in a few decades. However, the consumption of merit had almost reached an unbelievable level, 10 to the 64th power. The peak of the sky-reaching strength was already the secret cultivation method of the Kwa-E family. Before, Yang Chen did not begin to integrate the complete yellow, turban strawman body refining method because the golden body secret art had not reached that stage. Now that he had the conditions for cultivation, Yang Chen could rest assured and completely integrate the secret cultivation method of the Kwa-E family. However, before the integration, it was still the old way. Yang Chen would simply cultivate for a period of time and then integrate it after thoroughly mastering the mystery. Since Brotherly Chung had set a deadline of 1,000 years, it was estimated that he was impatient with the actions of the Zhao family. When these were completed this time, Yang Chen would definitely go on a killing spree and would never hold back. It was worth mentioning that under the efforts of the second primordial spirit and the third primordial spirit, and under the dual cultivation of Yang Chen and the girls, Yang Chen's divine sense cultivation had soared again, reaching the middle stage of Almighty Immortal. Even Yang Chen could challenge the difficulty of refining an 8-revolution pill at this stage. Chapter 2236. The reason for this was that Yang Chen realized that Ao Lan seemed to be a little impatient. Ever since she knew that Yang Chen's alchemy came from the Tao ancestors' inheritance, she no longer doubted that Yang Chen could refine the fusion pill. Now, Aolan no longer planned to wait until everyone ascended to the immortal world before letting the fire dragon be reborn. She firmly believed that Yang Chen could refine the 8 revolutions fusion pill in the mortal world. Although she did not rush him these days, it was very obvious sometimes. Yang Chen also understood Aolan's feelings. It was not easy for her to endure until now after being separated from the person she loved for so many years. Yang Chen knew the pain of missing Gao Yu. In his previous life, he had never forgotten Gao Yu for even a moment. Therefore, he did not blame her. Give me 200 years. Yang Chen gave Aolan a clear time limit. When my cultivation increases again and my cultivation makes a breakthrough, I will start refining the fusion pill. Aolan finally felt relieved. With Yang Chen's guarantee, she understood that it would not be long before she met the fire dragon again. She could count the years. With Aolan's urging, Yang Chun immersed himself in fusing Kwa-Yi's secret cultivation method. Relying on the merit absolute ability to protect his life, Yang Chun used the most unreasonable method to forcefully fuse Kwa-Yi's secret cultivation method into the current golden body scripture. Even if some meridians would conflict with each other, even if the spiritual energy would reverse, he did not care. He would first solve the problem of being able to cultivate together, then straighten out the coordination. While Yang Chun and his family were immersed in cultivation, Yang Lan was very busy. Most of his thoughts were on the profound heaven sect, trying his best to make the profound heaven sect the target of public criticism. The battles between the Zhao clan and the other sect never stopped. There would be some small-scale conflict from time to time. Almost all the sects were involved, and everything seemed normal. There was no doubt that the profound heaven sect's cultivators were also attacked. The hidden members of the Zhao clan would often attack the disciples of the other sect. Some succeeded, some failed, and there were casualties. Usually, the ones who were attacked were the disciples who were out. The Zhao family was not arrogant enough to attack the disciples of other sects in their own territory. However, the few super sects that had been paying attention to the Black Heaven sect had discovered that the Black Heaven sect's recent situation was too suspicious. There was a very elusive phenomenon, and that was, as long as it was a disciple loyal to sect Master Wu, when they were attacked outside, there was an 80% chance that they would survive. As for those disciples with unclear attitudes or who had expressed opposition, less than 10% of them survived when they went out and were attacked. Looking at the situation as a whole, the Black Heaven sect was the same as the other sects. They had all been attacked by the Zhao family, and nothing unusual could be seen. But as long as there was a simple distinction, the majority of those who were loyal to sect Master Wu were alive, and the majority of those who opposed were dead. This situation really made people suspicious. Everything was arranged by Yang Lan. He knew the identity and position of these people who went out through the elder he controlled. He specifically arranged some targeted attacks, so that the result of this attack was very coincidental and indirect to help Sect Master Wu clear the obstacles in the sect. Sect Master Wu did not notice this. He simply thought that this was a harassment method of the Zhao family. Sect Master Wu was even secretly happy that some people who did not know how to appreciate favors were attacked and killed. Right now, he could almost control more than 70% of the Black Heaven sect. If he continued to work hard, he believed that he would be able to firmly control the Black Heaven sect in less than a few hundred years. At that time, wherever sect Master Wu's troops went, the disciples of the Black Heaven sect would come one after another. Just thinking about it made people fascinated. Sect Master Wu, who was immersed in controlling the Black Heaven sect, did not notice that the other sects had already started to drift away from the Black Heaven sect. No matter how Home Master Tong of the External Affairs Hall contacted the various parties, this feeling of alienation was getting more and more serious. However, on the surface, the other sects still maintained their respect for the Black Heaven sect and did not explode out. In the blink of an eye, 200 years had passed. Yang Chun and his family, who were immersed in cultivation, almost did not notice the passage of time. If not for Ao Lan coming to remind Yang Chun would still be immersed in cultivation, unable to extricate himself. After reaching the heavenly immortal realm, Yang Chun and his family made preparations to not undergo their heavenly immortal tribulation and ascend. Hence, no one would undergo their tribulation for a long time to come. Hence, their cultivation would not be interrupted. However, Aolan was very anxious from waiting. However, he still remembered the 200-year time limit that Yang Chun mentioned. Once the time was up, he immediately rushed over to urge Yang Chun. 200 years was already sufficient for Yang Chun to completely merge the golden body art. At this point, the golden body art could be considered to have reached great perfection, becoming the only cultivation technique that Yang Chun could cultivate. The demonic world was still being refined, and so was the immortal killing platform. Yang Chun only paid attention to the current progress before preparing to refine the medicinal pill for Aolan. Aolan had already prepared all the herbs needed for the foundation merging pill long ago. Although Xiao Chun had said that the 8 Revolution Foundation merging pill could only be refined in the immortal world, there were herbs of sufficient age in the spirit realm. However, before refining the foundation merging pill, Yang Chun needed to refine a few body-tempering pills. This was for the sake of raising the dragon puppet's 5 elemental attributes to the maximum. This was also one of the agreements that Xiao Chun made with Aolan back then. Furthermore, starting with simple medicinal pills was also a way for Yang Chun to familiarize himself with the process of refining 8 revolution pills. In the past, when Yang Chun refined an 8 revolution pill, he did it to give Aolan confidence. He did not use a cauldron and refine the simplest qi nourishing pill empty-handed. At that time, Yang Chun had not yet comprehended the real secrets of the alchemy path. Now that he was going to open the furnace for alchemy and to attack the real 8th grade medicinal pill in one fell swoop, Yang Chun was not completely sure. The purpose of the 8 Revolution Virtuous Body Tempering Pill was to raise the dragon puppet's acquired attributes. Among the herbs that Yang Chun usually used for the body tempering pill, he added some of the blood from the blood pool that he kept. One had to know that this blood was a mixture of cultivators of various levels in the immortal world. With the integration of Yang Chen's virtuous chapter, this blood was even more effective than many ordinary herbs. Back then, Yang Chun refined a pill that allowed Xiao Tian to awaken his Yazi bloodline because of the essence blood of the howling celestial dog. Among this blood, there was definitely the blood of the howling celestial dog. At the same time, there was also the blood of some stronger immortals. For the first revolution, Yang Chun used his alchemy skills to the extreme. Under the strong support of the virtuous chapter, the first revolution pill did not take too long and was completed. After all, it was just a simple body tempering pill. However, Yang Chun did not stop. Instead, he continued with the second revolution. Although Yang Chun had already discussed it with elder brother Li Cheng, the effect of a high revolution pill might not be very high. However, it could still increase it by a small amount. The most important thing was to give the consumer confidence. What Yang Chun was doing now was calming Aolan's heart. Chapter 2237. In the process of refining pills, the difficulty would multiply with every increase in refinement. The refinement required precise control of the flame, and the effort required was far greater than the previous refinement. When the difficulty accumulated to a certain level, the alchemist would be unable to continue. Hence, ordinary cultivators could easily determine the rank of an alchemist based on the number of refinements they could make. When it came to medicinal pills, this would be reflected in the number of pill inscriptions. With every increase in refinement, the number of pill inscriptions would increase by 1. This did not mean that one's cultivation could support such exhaustion. This was just a prerequisite. The higher the refinement, the more difficult it was to control the flame. If one got distracted or made a mistake with the flame, they would end up with a cauldron of slag. Yang Chun was no longer refining pills for the sake of increasing the number of refinements. To Yang Chun, every refinement was a small breakthrough in his alchemy Tao, a small accumulation of experience in the alchemy Tao. When one's cultivation realm was different, the nature of things would be different. The closer one was to the essence. Right now, Yang Chun basically had such a cultivation realm. Every time he refined a medicinal pill, he would be able to advance to a higher-ranked alchemist. When this foundation was firm and thick enough, Yang Chun would naturally be able to advance to another level. This was something that Yang Chun had never comprehended in his previous life. This also clearly indicated that Yang Chen's current alchemy realm had already surpassed that of his previous life. The increase in control also meant that the time required to refine pills decreased. When Yang Chun executed the pill withdrawal technique and stood up, Aolan, who had been watching from the side, was startled. He failed. How can this be? Yang Chun put away the entire cauldron of virtuous body tempering pills. Without even looking at them, he placed them in a jade bottle and handed it to Aolan. Aolan quickly opened the bottle and took out the virtuous body-tempering pills to check. This time, Yang Chun had refined more than 30 virtuous body-tempering pills for the fire dragon. The fire dragon's body was huge, so it definitely needed a lot of pills. Also, if the fire dragon wanted all 5 elements, it would need even more pills. The 30 physique-tempering pills cost Yang Chun almost 1 Ganges River sand, 10 to the power of 52, worth of merit points. Even though it was just a simple body-tempering pill, the number of pill refinement masters in the immortal world who could concoct such pills could be counted on one's fingers. Those who were capable did not have Yang Chun's merit, and those who had merit might not necessarily know how to concoct pills. One had to know that this was much easier than using old Demon Yi's demonic technique to raise his acquired 5 elements. Each pill had a neat and tidy 8 pill veins, but this time the pill veins were not dragon-shaped pill veins. Aolan did not mind. Yang Chun passed the profound spirit furnace to his disciple. Emochume's pill furnace should not have dragon-shaped pill patterns. However, wasn't this speed a little too fast? Aolan checked the medicinal pills one by one, counting the pill veins one by one. Only then did she carefully put away all the physique-tempering pills. It was not that she did not believe in Yang Chun. It was just that these medicinal pills were used for her beloved. She could not afford to be careless, lest it led to irreversible consequences. Concern led to chaos. This was not just something that happened to human cultivators. It was the same even for the royal members of the dragon race. This point was displayed vividly from Aolan's action of checking the medicinal pills. Yang Chun did not blame Aolan for being so serious. As he said, the existence of the pill veins was to increase the confidence of the consumer. Wasn't Aolan's careful counting of the pill veins the best interpretation of his principle? The body-harmonizing pill was a medicinal pill specially used by the dragon race. According to Aolan, she wanted Yang Chun to start refining it immediately. However, Yang Chun rejected this request. Instead, he intended to refine a few cauldrons of 7th and 8th revolution Lingji Jade dew pills first. I'm already refining such a difficult medicinal pill right off the bat. I am not familiar with many of the techniques and fire control required for refining high-grade medicinal pills. It is better to use low-grade medicinal pills to practice first and familiarize myself with them before refining them in one go. Yang Chun had his own reasons. However, at this moment, he had to explain things to Aolan. Otherwise, she would misunderstand that he was not willing to refine medicinal pills or that he was making things difficult for her. Aolan accepted Yang Chun's explanation because it made sense. Yang Chun was also thinking for Aolan's sake. He had not prepared many of the original herbs for the body-harmonizing pill. If he failed a few times, he would have to start searching again. Yang Chun also had his own considerations. After all, refining an 8th revolution medicinal pill surpassed the standards of his previous life. Yang Chun did not have much experience in this area. This was not like refining a 6th revolution medicinal pill or a 7th revolution medicinal pill. In his previous life, Xiao Chun had a lot of experience with this. Whether it was for his own reputation or for the sake of the fire dragon who was taking the medicinal pill, he should be cautious. Lingji Jade Dew pill was the most medicinal pill that Yang Chun had refined. From the 1st revolution to the 7th revolution, Yang Chun could now close his eyes and turn off his spiritual sense. However, Yang Chun still meticulously and carefully refined it. He felt the subtle differences in the fire control in each refining. Sometimes, he would even deliberately adjust the fire control within the permitted range of the refining, so that he could get different medicinal pills to compare the effects. When it came to the 8th revolution medicinal pill, Yang Chun was even more careful. He was fully focused and did not dare to relax. This time, he did not use the merit chapter to support him, nor did he use the profound spirit furnace, which had a bonus effect. It was completely his own pure alchemy level. Only in such a refining method could he find and solve the problem. Sure enough, without the merit chapter to support him, the success rate of the alchemy was much lower. This was the first time that Yang Chun had refined an 8th revolution medicinal pill in a real sense. The raw materials of 100 Lingji jade dew pills. When he finally collected the medicinal pills, Yang Chun got more than a dozen complete Lingji jade dew pills. The others all turned into slag. Ao Lan did not know the reason. Seeing that Yang Chen's success rate in refining the Lingji mushroom jade dew pill was so low, she did not dare to urge him to refine the fusing embryo pill. It was better to let Yang Chun refine the Lingji mushroom jade dew pill first. When he refined again, the success rate increased a lot. There were more than 30 pills, which almost doubled. However, there was only a little more than 30% success rate. Yang Chun was still very dissatisfied and immediately prepared the materials to refine again. A long time ago, Yang Chun discovered that these simple basic medicinal pills were actually not simple. Each of them was the most simplified and easiest to refine after many years of tempering by the predecessors. It was also the most cost-effective pill formula. However, the things behind the pill formula were worth careful consideration. Why did these medicinal materials were used? Why did they use this ratio? When he really reached the point where he knew how it was and why it was used, he had really learned something. Don't look at how Ao Lan was not satisfied with the success rate of Yang Chun refining the medicinal pill. However, Yang Chun himself was quite happy. The two refinements made him understand a lot of things. This was a harvest that he could not get even when refining the most difficult profound marrow pill in the past. Chapter 2238. Refining 2 batches of Lingji mushroom jade dew pills already gave Yang Chun sufficient experience. When he came out of the furnace for the 3rd time, he produced more than 90 pills in one go. His success rate was above 90%. Ao Lan was already stupefied. Even though she knew that Yang Chen's pill refinement came from the Tao ancestor, when she saw such a rapid increase in success rate, she still had a look of disbelief on her face. Yang Chun did not continue refining the Lingji mushroom jade dew pill, nor did he start refining the embryo fusing pill. Instead, he refined all the medicinal pills he learned before, starting with the simplest essence nurturing pill and qi nourishing pill, 3 batches of each. The first time, the success rate was extremely low. Ao Lan could not believe that this was Yang Chen's standard. However, there was a clear improvement in the second batch. By the 3rd batch, Xiao Chen's success rate was above 90%. There was no exception for every medicinal pill. All of them were like this. The reason why Yang Chun dared to attempt refining medicinal pills at the 8th cycle was because of his breakthrough in cultivation. In the past 200 years, Yang Chen's cultivation had already reached late-stage heavenly immortal. If not for Ao Lan's own cultivation advancing by leaps and bounds, she would not have believed that Xiao Chun could cultivate at such a crazy speed. Basically, by the time Yang Chun refined all the medicinal pills he knew, 100 years had already passed. In the past 100 years, Ao Lan had been waiting patiently. She did not complain about Yang Chun continuously refining the embryo fusing pill. Ao Lan was very clear that this was Yang Chen's true, responsible attitude. Otherwise, if he casually opened the furnace and used the embryo fusing pill to test the 8th cycle, he would be a wastrel that would make Ao Lan cry in the Divine Dragon Palace. The success rate of every medicinal pill increased Ao Lan's confidence. To Yang Chun, this also meant that he had gained more experience in refining more medicinal herbs to the 8th cycle. All of this was the preparatory work before the concoction of the Union pill. Sharpening the axe wouldn't delay the work of cutting firewood. Everyone understood this principle. Now, I finally understand why you have such a strong alchemy standard. When Yang Chun finally prepared to refine the embryo fusing pill, Ao Lan sighed emotionally. It is not because you have the Tao ancestors' alchemy inheritance. Instead, it is because of your seriousness and focus. Big sister praises me too much. Yang Chun smiled and said humbly. Just as he was about to say something, he opened his eyes wide, revealing an expression of disbelief. The dragon race royal big sister Aolan, who had never been willing to change her form and had always maintained her dragon race form, was currently turning herself into a charming woman. Having just completed the transformation, he seemed to be very unused to this form. He kept moving his body about, and it took a while before he slowly became more natural. Aolan, of dragon. Yangchen opened his mouth wide. His flabbergasted expression caused Aolan to smile sweetly. Then, she casually posed in a very seductive posture as she asked Yangchen. If Dragon Ao-chan had not heard the same voice, he would not believe what was Lan. Yangchen would chun with dragon. Long ago, he would not with Lan. In the past, Yangchen had not even dared to imagine that the proud dragon race would turn into a human. But this scene happened in front of his eyes, and Yangchen didn't even know why it happened. The dragon race has been proud for too long. Even we ourselves think that we are unrivaled in everything. Aolan gracefully walked over to a chair not far from Yangchen. Then, she smiled and said, "Actually, that is not the case." It sounded like Aolan had comprehended something. However, Yangchen was still immersed in shock, not daring to imagine it. Because of my alchemy? What a joke. In the past, when the Tao Ancestor was around, not many dragon race members were convinced by the Tao Ancestor's alchemy standards and turned themselves into humans. That's right. It is because of you. Aolan did not deny Yangchen's influence. You let me see a true miracle. Your innate attributes of the 5 elements are not outstanding. However, you're able to do this. It is clear that one's background is not important. What is truly important is your perseverance, seriousness, and focus. The dragon race has been proud for too long. Aolan repeated this sentence again. It is because we thought that we were blessed by the heavens. However, when we think about it carefully, these things are the true shackles that bind us. They make us look down on the cultivators of the world, making us look down on everyone. In the past, Long Yuan and not long ago both made such mistakes. Since you have already realized your mistakes, you should change them immediately. There is always time. Aolan smiled. From today onwards, the dragon race's mistakes will be corrected. Do you think Big Sister is pretty now? Beautiful. Yangchen nodded heavily, his tone filled with undeniable certainty. When a female asked if you were pretty enough, this was the only correct answer. There was no other answer. This was the truth that Yangchen thoroughly understood and insisted on implementing from the time when Madame Bai regarded the heart of a beauty as more important than the sky. The news of Aolan changing into human form quickly spread throughout the Dragon Palace and the Mountain River geographical map. After that, Yangchen's wives and concubines, Madame Bai's group, Big Brother Li Cheng, Lin Jingyuan, and Ao quickly appeared in the Dragon Palace. When everyone saw Aolan's current appearance, their faces filled with shock. Ao, you should change as well. You are the only one here who looks abnormal. Aolan was very friendly to the others. She only used a commanding tone with Ao. However, this time, she was not particularly cruel. Instead, she explained to Ao the principle that she had just comprehended. At the same time, she also explained to everyone why she did what she did. Ao had already been beaten into submission by Yangchen long ago. However, Aolan had been suppressing him, so he did not dare to disobey. Now that Aolan had changed like this, naturally Ao followed suit. He quickly turned into a strong and handsome youth. Yangchen's wives and concubines rushed forward and surrounded Aolan. Then they started talking about women. In the past, when Aolan was in dragon form, it was impossible for her to talk about such things. Now that she had become a great beauty, naturally, they had many common topics to talk about. Lin Jingyuan also hit it off with Ao. Soon, he brought out a large pile of meat and wine from the Dragon Palace. He ate and drank to his heart's content, feeling extremely happy. These stubborn fellows actually have a day where they become enlightened. How rare. Big Brother Li Cheng slowly walked over to Yangchen. He also had a trace of astonishment on his face. After Big Brother Li Cheng sighed, he asked Yangchen, "You started refining pills 100 years ago. How is it going?" Without saying anything, Yangchen showed Big Brotherly Chung all the pills he had refined from the start to now, asking him to comment on them. What do you think? After Big Brotherly Chung looked through them one by one, he did not comment on them. Instead, he asked Xiaochen a question. Nothing much. Success comes naturally when the conditions are right. Yang Chun thought for a while before replying. Actually, everything is the same. It is just a process where the conditions are right. Chapter 2239. Yang Chun had just learned the phrase, when the conditions are right, success will come when the conditions are right. It was also comprehended from the process of alchemy, but the direction was different from AO lands. These words were suitable for alchemy. Yang Chun started from the foundation of alchemy, persisted step by step, and finally had enough foundation to successfully become a rank 8 alchemist. This was a typical process of success when the conditions were right. It was the same for cultivation. Regardless of whether Yang Chun raised his acquired attributes, cultivated the great yin-yang 5 elemental art, or merged the golden body art, they were all accumulating water. When the water was right, the canal would naturally form. Similarly, it was the same for dealing with the profound heaven sect. The Taishaman of the mortal world took the wrong steps and finally became the public enemy of the world. Similarly, when the water accumulated to a certain point, the Taishaman would be exterminated. Now, the profound heaven sect in the spiritual realm was also accumulating water. With the tacit cooperation between Yang Chun and Yang Lan, the profound heaven sect was being isolated and viewed as an enemy by the other major sect. The Zhao clan was also watching from the side. Once these accumulations reached a certain point, the profound heaven sect would be exterminated. All right, Big Brother Li Cheng nodded, seemingly approving of Yang Chen's comprehension. Then, I will wait for the day when the demonic realm and Yao realm are dealt with. Although Big Brother Li Cheng's words were simple, it meant that Yang Chen's comprehension was not wrong, or rather, there was no deviation. Getting Big Brother Li Cheng to nod was much more difficult than killing a few Xian immortal experts. Speaking of this, Ying's accumulation is about the same. While Yang Chun and Big Brother Li Cheng were talking about this, he suddenly thought of Zhou Xianying. Continuing to cultivate in this state will not be of much benefit to Ying. Let her truly start cultivating. Indeed, it's about time. Big Brother Li Cheng still nodded in agreement. The two of them did not speak much, but the surrounding women heard it. However, they did not understand what their husband and Big Brother Li Cheng were talking about. What did it have to do with Ying? Zhou Xianying was even more confused. She did not understand what her husband meant. How could she not know what kind of state she was in? Since Yang Chun and Li Cheng talked about Zhou Xianying, the women stopped talking about women and turned their attention to Yang Chun and Zhou Xianying. Husband, I don't understand. Zhou Xianying was no longer the grumpy Granny Tianqin. She thought that she had been reborn, but she didn't think that her current state was still not right in her husband's eyes. Ying, it's not your problem. Yang Chen smiled and comforted her. He reached out and held her soft hand in his hand. He asked softly, do you remember what I told you in the past? When you are in danger, you have to use your spiritual awareness to make a few secret arts. After Yang Chun and Zhou Xianying got married, Yang Chun and Zhou Xianying talked about this problem. At that time, Zhou Xianying also knew those few incantations. They were deeply buried in her memory, as if she had known them since she was born. It was just that Zhou Xianying had never encountered any life or death battles all these years, so she never had the chance to use these incantations. She had long forgotten about these things. Now that Yang Chun suddenly mentioned it, what did he mean? Ying, your cultivation base is sealed. Yang Chun explained aloud. Those few spiritual awareness secret arts are the keys to unlock your spiritual awareness seal. With this explanation, Zhou Xianying immediately understood. The women also understood the reason and all came to a sudden realization. The longer you cultivate in a sealed state, the more solid your foundation will be. Yang Chun then explained, but now that you have cultivated to this stage, there is no need to suppress it so strongly. Zhou Xianying was the strongest among Yang Chen's wives and concubines. Before entering the Valley of No Return, she was already a peak heaven immortal. After hundreds of years of using heavenly yuan pills to cultivate, she had already reached the third stage of Xian Immortal. Even in the spiritual realm, Zhou Xianying could be said to be one of the few experts. But such a cultivation realm was actually in a sealed state in Yang Chen's eyes. Everyone couldn't help but be a little curious. If Zhou Xianying really unlocked the seal, what realm would she be in? I can unlock it. Zhou Xianying was really used to living in the spiritual realm and cultivating with this kind of cultivation. She never thought that she would be in such a situation. Hearing Yang Chen's words, she even felt that it was unreal and asked doubtfully. Of course. Yang Chen smiled and encouraged her. When have you ever been wrong? What's more, Brotherly Chung also said so. Everyone was almost certain that Brotherly Chung was the disciple of the Tao ancestor who had obtained the inheritance of the Tao ancestor. His knowledge and his words were naturally like golden rules. Zhou Xianying's heart immediately calmed down after hearing Yang Chen's words. Yang Chen gestured for everyone to keep a distance, then gave Zhou Xianying an encouraging smile and let her act according to the law. Under everyone's gaze, Zhou Xianying stood in the central square of the Dragon Palace. She took a few deep breaths and began to construct the spiritual art in her sea of consciousness. Boom! Zhou Xianying's body seemed to suddenly explode like a huge bomb, and the spreading airwaves pushed the spiritual power in the Dragon Palace far away. Everyone seemed to be able to feel that there seemed to be an invisible shackle on Zhou Xianying's body that was shattering, and then a strong aura came from Zhou Xianying's original position. The spiritual power that was just pushed away seemed to be attracted by a strong force at this moment, and frantically rushed towards the central area. In the tranquil Dragon Palace, a spiritual energy hurricane was formed. An aura of complete freedom was emitted from Zhou Xianying's body, and everyone inexplicably felt a sense of relief in their hearts that the pressure was dispelled. After a while, the spiritual power hurricane slowly calmed down, and everyone saw the changes in Zhou Xianying in the center. It seemed that Zhou Xianying was still the beautiful Zhou Xianying, and there was no change in her appearance. However, her temperament and cultivation were completely different from before. In just a short while, Zhou Xianying had become a peak Xian Immortal cultivator. This was not the kind of Xian Immortal that stayed in the spiritual realm and did not ascend, but a true Xian Immortal cultivator that was sent down after transcending the heavenly immortal tribulation. In other words, this was Zhou Xianying's true cultivation when she was sent down to the spiritual realm. Thinking about it, it was normal. A true peak Xian Immortal cultivator could do whatever they wanted in the spiritual realm. Even an intermediate golden immortal expert like A.O. Lan might not be defeated if they encountered one. The possibility of them being evenly matched was at least 50-50. Of course, with Lin Jingyuan around, it seemed that Zhou Xianying's cultivation was not enough. Zhou Xianying's eyes seemed to be clearer, and from the expression on her face, she seemed to have recalled a lot of things. Chapter 2240. She had just broken the seal. Whether it was regaining her memories or digesting all these years of experience, it would take some time. Everyone understood and didn't disturb Zhou Xianying. They just watched and felt happy for her. After a long while, Zhou Xianying let out a long sigh. A smile blossomed on her face. She turned to Yang Chen and slowly walked over with a smile. "Husband, I've remembered everything." Zhou Xianying was a woman who followed traditional etiquette. She always called herself a concubine in front of Yang Chen. This time was no exception. Although Sir Taishan's arrangements weren't perfect, he did it for your own good. Yang Chen smiled and nodded at Zhou Xianying. He then began to speak up for his father-in-law. Back then, Zhou Xianying had never understood why she had been sealed into such an ugly monster. She had always been brooding over it, and with no way to vent it, she had become the cynical Granny Tianqin. If she hadn't met Yang Chen, she would have remained in that state until she ascended. Yang Chen had done many things in the past. At that time, Zhou Xianying already understood her father's painstaking efforts. After marrying Yang Chen, her life had been very happy, so she didn't have too many grudges. Now that she had regained all her memories, Even the last bit of resentment was gone. "I understand," Zhou Xianying replied gently and allowed Yang Chun to hold her in his arms. She no longer had any resentment. As long as she was by her husband's side, she was filled with happiness. This scene made Madame Bai very envious. She interrupted Yang Chun and Zhou Xianying and asked loudly, "How do you undo this seal? Help me undo it too." Yang Chun was stunned. He turned to look at Brotherly Chung. Brotherly Chung had the same expression. "Madam, this is good enough. Why do you have to do this?" Yang Chun smiled and said to Madame Bai, Ying's cultivation is about to catch up to her original cultivation. That's why she undid the seal. "Madam, the time isn't right yet. I'm afraid it's not right. I don't need you to undo the cultivation seal." Madame Bai seemed to be very confident in her cultivation. She did not care about this at all. She just said, "I just want to unlock that person's memory seal. I want him to remember who he is." As Madame Bai's voice grew softer and softer, Yang Chen's heart trembled. Only the women around him were touched. Even though Madame Bai had forgotten who that person was, she did not forget her tender feelings for that person. Everyone noticed that whenever she talked about that person, she would always use that kind of loving tone. One could imagine the depth of her feelings. Sometimes, Yang Chun really didn't understand what Ancestor Lu was thinking. He sent Madame Bai to the spirit realm to protect her. But why did he seal her memories? Even Big Brotherly Chung, who had never been close to women, could not bear to see Madame Bai like this. But on the other hand, Yang Chun could understand Ancestor Lu's actions. There was probably only one reason for him to do this, and that was Madame Bai's safety. If he didn't seal Madame Bai's memories, Madame Bai would probably know what Ancestor Lu wanted to do and what kind of danger he would face. How could she, who was in the spirit realm, be at ease? She would definitely ascend and chase after him. To put it bluntly, Madame Bai missed Ancestor Lu because she was deeply in love. But Ancestor Lu sealed Madame Bai's memories for the same reason. Both of them were very emotional, and that was what made people sigh. Madame Bai already knew the method to undo the seal. Yang Chun could not undo Madame Bai's seal. He didn't have the ability to do so, but he didn't want Madame Bai to be even sadder. He could only explain in a roundabout way. Back then, Ying's father was afraid that she would be in danger, so she would undo the seal whenever she was in danger. But Madame's sealed disciple was really helpless. Madame by now understood the principle behind Zhou Xianying's seal. So she was also racking her brains to see if there was a similar technique in her memory that she had to use in a life-and-death situation. Unfortunately, no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't find anything related to it. "Sigh, I don't know when I can see him again." Madame Bai had no other choice but to sigh bitterly and slowly return to her bedroom in the Dragon Palace. Because of Madame Bai's actions, all the women were a little depressed. They were all women, so they naturally understood the feeling of longing. But no one could do anything, and no one could help. Zhou Xianying needed to cultivate in seclusion for a while, so everyone returned to their rooms in the Dragon Palace after chatting for a while. The women also returned to the Devil Realm to train and cultivate. "Big brother, do you have a way to deal with Madame Bai?" Yang Chun found an opportunity to secretly ask Big Brother Li Chung. "It doesn't matter if I have a way or not." Li Chung sighed and asked, "Even if I have a way, would you dare to use it?" This question stumped Yang Chun. From his previous life's memories, Ancestor Lu had not appeared until his rebirth. That was to say, even if he had a way to restore Madame Bai's memories of Ancestor Lu, Madame Bai would not be able to see Ancestor Lu for the next few thousand years. However, Madame Bai, who was worried about Ancestor Lu, would definitely ascend to the immortal realm and be embroiled in all sorts of unknown dangers. This was the opposite of Ancestor Lu's original intentions. Even if he had a way, whether it was for Madame Bai's safety or for Ancestor Lu's arrangements, Yang Chun did not dare to undo Madame Bai's seal, much less tell her the truth. Thus, Yang Chun's question was a meaningless question. Since Ancestor Lu made such arrangements, he would definitely have a backup plan. Yang Chun just had to do his best to protect Madame Bai. As for the rest, it was better not to do anything unnecessary. The Dragon Palace regained its peace, and everyone busied themselves. Yangchen also intended to start refining the embryo merging pill. However, the strange thing was that when he practiced refining other pills, Ao Lan stayed by Yangchen's side and watched. However, when it came to refining the most important embryo merging pill, Ao Lan seemed to be afraid to face it. It was as if she was afraid of bearing the consequences of failure. She was also afraid that she would not be able to bear the pressure on Yangchen, causing him to make mistakes. She actually took the initiative to leave. Of course, Ao Lan did not do nothing. She rushed back to Chunyang Palace, intending to bring Yangchen's disciple, Imo Chunmei, here. The last remaining dragon spirit of the fire dragon was in the profound spirit furnace. If she wanted to revive, she needed to destroy this dragon spirit. It was impossible to do it without the profound spirit furnace in her hands, so she had to bring the profound spirit furnace over. In addition, the artifact spirit of the profound spirit furnace disappeared for no reason. Ao Lan had to find a new artifact spirit for the profound spirit furnace. He believed that by the time she came back, the embryo merging pill would have already been refined. Chapter 22:41. It was very difficult for human cultivators to refine the embryo fusing pill used by the dragon race. Not to mention other things, just the ingredients alone were enough to kill. For the embryo fusing pill used by the dragon race, it was best to use items from the body of the dragon. Furthermore, it had to be of the same attribute. However, this was not difficult for Yangchen. Be it the original body of the dragon or the new body, he could obtain sufficient ingredients at any time. After dealing with the ingredients, it was time for the refining method and grade. The body of the dragon race was huge, much larger than that of humans. Hence, the number of medicinal pills required was not small. Yangchen even needed to accurately calculate how many medicinal materials were needed to refine the fusing embryo pill according to the current body weight of the dragon puppet and the original cultivation base of the fire dragon, plus the strength of his spiritual awareness after his rebirth to accurately calculate how many medicinal materials were needed for the fusing embryo pill. When necessary, he even had to consider the influence of the purple sun dragon fire, the life flame of the dragon puppet. During the preparation, Xiaochan first refined an extremely accurate giant scale. He weighed the weight of the dragon puppet to the exact unit of 2. If it were in the past, Xiaochan would definitely refine a small medicinal pill and consume many of them. At most, the difference would be within 1 medicinal pill. This was nothing to the huge body of the dragon puppet. However, now, Yangchen was no longer the alchemist of the past. In that case, he had to pursue a different level of perfection. With just 1 embryo fusing pill, Xiaochan would be able to perfectly possess the dragon puppet, leaving no flaws. When Imo Chunmei rushed over, Yangchen was in the midst of calculating all this. Ao Lan had not only brought Imo Chunmei, but also Hannah Mengyu. There were sufficient medicinal ingredients in her herb garden for Yangchen to choose the best. When Imo Chunmei rushed over, she still did not know what Yangchen was going to refine. Now that she saw her master, she naturally had to ask for guidance. Yangchen also had the intention to nurture her. He explained the medicinal pill recipe and how he planned to refine it in detail to Imo Chunmei and Hannah Mengyu. When the 2 women heard that Yangchen was actually going to refine an 8-revolution pill, they were completely stunned. Imo Chunmei's first reaction was that Yangchen wanted to use the power of the profound spirit furnace to refine it. Otherwise, the alchemist master of the spiritual world refining the 8th grade medicinal pill sounded a bit fantastical. Looking at Imo Chunmei, who couldn't wait to take out the profound spirit furnace for himself, Yangchen smiled and threw Imo Chunmei a bottle of the 8th grade Lingji mushroom jade pill that he had refined and let her share it with Hannah Mengyu. Imo Chunmei opened the jade bottle doubtfully. When she saw the pill inside, she was immediately stunned. Hannah Mengyu was puzzled. She stepped forward to take a look and was stunned as well. The 2 women stood there in a daze, unable to say a word for a long time. "Master," Imo Chunmei called out after a long time, her voice filled with indescribable shock. The profound spirit furnace had always been in her hands, but her master could take out this bottle of Lingji mushroom jade pill. How is this possible? Mo Chunmei was also a master of alchemy. Now, she had only ascended for a few hundred years, and she was already a proper 5th-grade alchemist master. She asked herself that with the profound spirit furnace, she would definitely be able to enter the 6th grade after a period of time. She didn't expect her master to be faster than her. Now she has surpassed the limits of the spiritual world and became an 8th-grade alchemist master. The problem was that all the cultivators in the spiritual world now thought that Yang Chun was just a 6th-grade alchemist master. Even Mo Chunmei was so shocked. She didn't know how incredible it would be for the cultivators outside to know it. You must know that before Yang Chun announced his retreat, the Profound Heaven sect was still looking for 8th-grade medicinal pills all over the world. But now, the bottle of dozens of pills that her master threw over were all 8th-grade medicinal pills. The Profound Heaven sect spent a lot of money to get Yang Chun's combination medicinal pills. If they knew the current level of Yang Chun, they didn't know if they would go crazy. When she thought that she could see her master open the furnace to refine the 8th-grade fusion embryo pill, Mo Chunmei was full of expectation. Not to mention Mo Chunmei, the alchemist master, was like this. Even Hannah Mengyu, a disciple who was not an alchemist master, was like this. One could imagine the expectations of the 8th-grade alchemist master. Ao Lan still seemed to be a little unable to face Yang Chun directly. When he was refining the fusion embryo pill, he stayed in the Dragon Palace with the profound spirit furnace alone, feeling the last breath left by the rebirth of the fire dragon. With the help and observation of his 2 apprentices, Yang Chun finally began the refining of the fusion embryo pill. In order to maximize the success of the rebirth of the fire dragon, Yang Chun also used the scales and flesh of Ao Lai's body and the scales and flesh of the dragon puppet's body in addition to using the merit chapter to escort him. The fire used in the refining was the original life source of the fire dragon, the purple sun dragon fire. Mo Chunmei stared at Yang Chun's movements and techniques intently. Although Yang Chun had explained all the steps to Mo Chunmei in detail before refining, when she really saw her master's hands, Mo Chunmei couldn't help but let out a burst of speechless admiration. The master's control of timing, the accuracy of the materials, the steadiness of the technique, and the grasp of the fire were simply amazing. Mo Chunmei was also a very high-level alchemist master, but she had never seen such a refining technique. In particular, the control of the fire seed simply made Mo Chunmei admire him. Mo Chunmei really came into contact with thousands of fire seeds after she got the profound spirit furnace passed down by Yang Chun. During this time, it took her most of the time to familiarize herself with the various fire properties. Because of this, she knew better than anyone how great it was to master all kinds of fire seeds. She had to rely on the profound spirit furnace to barely do this, but Yang Chun did not need it at all. The fire seed that was revealed must be the most suitable fire seed, as if all the fire seeds in the world were on her master's body. Sometimes Mo Chunmei had to sigh that the gap between her and her master seemed to be getting bigger and bigger. It was simply a moat. Although Yang Chun explained the process in detail, there were many things in it that were not explained thoroughly. Some things, if they were not realized by themselves, they would not be understood by themselves, and even the actual operation would not be really understood. Yang Chun did not want to lead to the destruction of the famous alchemist master Mo Chunmei in his previous life because of his own indoctrination. Hannah Mengyu was not an alchemist master, and Yang Chun's guidance to her was also somewhat different. He told Hannah Mengyu how many differences there were in the efficacy of each part of each medicinal material, and how different the years were. In short, let Hannah Mengyu cultivate medicinal materials with consistent properties as much as possible. The alchemist pursued the perfection of medicinal pills, and a master of cultivating medicinal materials like Hannah Mengyu should also pursue perfection in cultivation. Just this time, observing the alchemy process of their master, the 2 women had the harvest of being reborn. The 2 women stare at their master's movements while thinking about the reason why their master did this in their minds, and they could not extricate themselves from it. Chapter 2242. The embryo fusing pill was very important. With Xiao Qin's full concentration, he managed to complete the first cycle without any mishaps. This was also thanks to Yang Qin's experience in refining all sorts of foundational pills in the past 100 years. The dragon race's pill was extraordinarily difficult to refine. Furthermore, there were no more ingredients for Yang Qin to practice with. Unless Yang Qin could carve out a large piece of flesh from A.O. Lai and the dragon puppet. However, even if Yang Qin could do such a thing, A.O. Lan would definitely not allow him to do so. Successfully refining the first cycle actually meant that Xiao Qin had the experience to successfully refine the 8 revolutions embryo fusing pill. What Yang Qin needed to do was to use the experience from refining the first cycle to complete the remaining 7 cycles. This was Yang Qin challenging his limits. At the same time, it was also a process to raise his level of pill refinement. Even with the protection of the merit chapter, Yang Qin still completed the refinement very carefully. There was no helping it. The difficulty of refining the dragon race's pill was not small. It was even more difficult than refining the marrow accumulation pill. One embryo fusing pill took Yang Qin 50 years to refine. Yang Qin used at least a dozen spirit veins in the central plaza of the 5 Elements Dragon Palace. At the same time, he used at least several thousand kilograms of Origin's spiritual liquid and spirit crystals to complete it. When Yang Qin successfully collected the pill, Imo Chunmei and Hannah Mengyu saw a huge pill the size of 2 people hugging it. The pill inscriptions on it were as wide as a palm. There were 8 neatly arranged pill inscriptions on the pill, looking very round and perfect. However, the 2 girls did not feel like they were looking at a pill. This was clearly an incomparably huge ball. However, they had seen the entire process of refining the pill from start to finish. Be it the refining process or the medicinal qi after it came out, if they did not consider the size, this was indeed an 8-revolution pill. A.O. Lan rushed over immediately. When she saw this incomparably huge pill, she was similarly speechless. However, she also knew that if she wanted to have a complete effect and distribute the medicinal effects to all parts of her body, she might really need such a large medicinal pill. In that case, are the body-tempering pills that you refined earlier enough? When A.O. Lan saw this medicinal pill, she recalled the tens of body-tempering pills that Yang Qin refined at the start. That was a normal size. If it was calculated according to body size, it might not be enough. 2 different types of pills. Yang Qin expressed his meaning very directly. The body-refining pill is the body-refining pill, and the embryo-fusing pill is the embryo-fusing pill. Don't compare them. Yang Qin was an expert in this aspect. A.O. Lan would definitely listen to Yang Qin's words now. Since Yang Qin said it was okay, then it must be okay. In fact, it was indeed so. The main effect of the physique-tempering pill was the merit that Yang Qin injected into it, not the size of the pill. As for the embryo-fusing pill, it was a medicinal pill that allowed the fire dragon's spiritual body and physical body to merge into one. Only then would it bring out the greatest medicinal effect of the herbs. After the embryo-fusing pill was refined, Gao Yu and the others rushed over when they heard the news. They all wanted to see how the dragon race was reborn and how strong a dragon race with all 5 elements was. Big sister, the medicinal pill is ready. When do you want to proceed? Yang Qin asked as he handed the embryo-fusing pill to A.O. Lan. A.O. Lan had to decide on all these. Yang Qin would not take the initiative to participate. A.O. Lan hugged the profound spirit cauldron with a reluctant expression on her face. Finally, she seemed to have made a decision, and her expression turned resolute. Yang Qin, Long Quang was very proud in the past. His temper was also a little irascible. A.O. Lan did not immediately start to revive the fire dragon. Instead, she explained to Yang Qin, "Hence, after he was injured, I sealed him in ice. I hope that he can remain calm during the long years of being sealed in ice." Clearly, Long Quang was the name of the fire dragon, surnamed Long, not a member of the royal family of the dragon race. In that case, he was definitely the person that Aolan liked. However, what Aolan said was somewhat different from when Yang Chun discovered the fire dragon's physical body. "Big sister, are you mistaken?" Yang Chun quickly interrupted Aolan's big sister. "When Aolai and I saw him, he no longer had any active consciousness. It seemed like a joke to expect a fellow without active consciousness to calm down and reflect on himself." However, Aolan did not have any intention of joking. She seemed to be immersed in her memories, not saying anything for a long time. "As I said, he is a proud fellow," Aolan recalled for a while before continuing. "At that time, his injuries were not fatal. However, I had no way to treat him. On one hand, I sealed him in ice to calm him down. On the other hand, I wanted to extend his life until I could find a way to treat him." Aolan emphasized once more that Long Quang was very proud. Yang Chen somewhat understood that there had to be a reason for this. However, he did not intend to interrupt Aolan's big sister. Telling her about it now was a form of relief and relaxation for her. It was very beneficial. However, his pride made him unable to endure this kind of waiting that was worse than death. Aolan's voice turned somewhat gloomy. Sometimes, he would rather die than struggle at death's door. Everyone here was a cultivator. They could all understand the situation that Aolan was talking about. Not to mention the high and mighty dragon race. Even if a cultivator were to suddenly become an ordinary person, some people might not be able to accept it, much less a half-dead person without any ability to move. When that time came, most cultivators would rather die. Of course, he knew that he would not die. He would be reborn. Aolan smiled bitterly. There was no need for further explanation. The effects of the dragon soul fragrance were even stronger than the divine perching jade. There was no period of weakness. As a member of the dragon race, he naturally knew that he would not die. However, he gave me the time to decide his rebirth. Following that, Aolan's big sister answered. He took the initiative to erase his consciousness so that I could fully accept his pride before letting him be reborn. After saying all this, Aolan's big sister seemed to have put down a stone in her heart. She looked much more relaxed. Of course, everyone also understood the ins and outs of the situation. They could not help but sigh to themselves. There were love and hate conflicts among humans. The dragon race was no exception. "Big sister, this fellow really does not know what's good for him." While the women sighed, Yang Chun directly gave a very unpleasant evaluation. For the princess of the dragon race to lower herself to take a fancy to a poor fellow is already a great blessing. Yet, this fellow still dares to be so arrogant. In little brother's opinion, it is best that he changes his bad temper. Just as Aolan was about to explain, Yang Chun interrupted her. "Big sister, I know that you are telling us all this so that we can be more tolerant of him after he is reborn. However, sometimes being too indulgent will harm him." Yang Chun did not stand on ceremony at all. He said in an old-fashioned manner, "Aside from Long Xian, it seems like the rest of the people with the surname Long all need to be taught a lesson." Chapter 2243. When Yang Chun said that everyone with the surname Long needed to be taught a lesson, he was not just talking about Long Quang. This included the 6 old fellows with the surname Long who came to the Dragon Palace to get used to the dragon coiling grass. It was just that they did not take the initiative to make a move back then. Instead, they pushed out that hothead Long Yuan. They only became obedient after seeing Lin Jingyuan, Li Cheng, Shi Shanshan, and Yang Chun teach them a lesson. If Yang Chun had not suppressed those fellows back then, the Dragon Palace's geographical map and whatnot would have been taken back by those fellows. They would have used the pretense that the dragon race's treasures could not be left outside. They did not have any good intentions from the start. Now, there was another fellow who was so arrogant that he could not even tolerate big sister Aolan searching for a cure for him. He even said that he would leave the decision to big sister Aolan. Yang Chen's first impression of him was that he was very unhappy. How arrogant was big sister Aolan? She was the princess of a dragon race. She was one of the top experts in the spiritual realm. Yet, she was willing to compromise with a junior like Yang Chun. She even greeted Yang Chen's family like this before he reincarnated, afraid that he would cause Yang Chen and the others to be unhappy. One could imagine how arrogant that fellow was back then. Yang Chen did not know how Big Sister A.O. Lan's eyes worked. Why did she choose such a fellow as her partner? However, love was hard to say. It was hard to guarantee that someone would fall in love with someone. Back then, Huolong's physical body cultivation was only at the peak of the heavenly immortal realm. To the people now, this cultivation realm was nothing. It was probably because of this that Big Sister A.O. Lan greeted them in advance, afraid that they would harm Long Quan. Hearing Yang Chun say that everyone with the surname Long needed to be taught a lesson, Big Sister A.O. Lan did not get angry. Perhaps she thought so in her heart. Big Sister, after so many years, you might have changed a lot after dying once. You don't have to take it to heart. Only Gao Yu could comfort A.O. Lan like this. She addressed A.O. Lan as Big Sister like Yang Chun. Although Xiao Chun saw that elder sister A.O. Lan was usually aloof, he did not expect her to have such worries in her heart. It must have been hard on her for so many years. They were all women. Gao Yu and the others could understand A.O. Lan's torment over the past few years. Seeing that his beloved was about to be resurrected, it was understandable that he would be a little nervous. The women also came forward, and after comforting him for a while, everyone slowly quietened down. Although that was what A.O. Lan said, everyone understood that A.O. Lan had not revived Long Quang for so many years before she met Yang Chun. She must be very familiar with Long Quang's character. Even if Long Quang was revived, he might not change much. That was why she had not made up her mind yet, slowly waiting for the right opportunity. A.O. Lan also calmed down and prepared to revive Long Quang. The Murong sisters had also expected this day to come. After obtaining the heavenly Yuan pills, they no longer needed to rely on the dragon puppet, so they easily gave up on it. If necessary, wasn't there still a puppet that Elder Feng forged? That was a true golden immortal expert who had passed the tribulation, stronger than the dragon puppet. This was to revive Long Quang. Hence, the size of the dragon puppet could not be changed at will. It could only be released according to its original size. With this, the dragon palace could not be placed down. Everyone directly went to the mountain river geographical map and placed the dragon puppet. Previously, the dragon puppet had been forcefully refined. To be safe, Yang Chun even got Xiao Tian to swallow up all the aura that did not belong to the dragon puppet. Right now, the dragon puppet was a pure white dragon. What should we do next? A.O. Lan asked Yang Chun as she held the dragon soul incense, containing Long Quang's life, primordial spirit. Reviving Long Quang was very simple. They just had to erase the dragon spirit in the profound spirit furnace. However, it was not that simple to possess the dragon puppet. A.O. Lan had no experience in this aspect, so she could only consult Yang Chun. If we revive him directly, the dragon soul incense will immediately grow a new physical body. We cannot leave it here. Yang Chun explained to A.O. Lan, we just need to revive his spiritual body and occupy the physical body of the dragon puppet. Big Sister, place this dragon soul incense into the dragon puppet's brain palace. Yang Chun was the absolute authority in this aspect. This included when to use the embryo merging pill. She needed Yang Chen's guidance. Place the embryo merging pill in the mouth of the dragon puppet, Yang Chun instructed. Now that the Murong sisters had completely given up on controlling the dragon puppet, A.O. Lan had to do everything herself. A.O. Lan did not find this kind of work tiring or troublesome, quickly completing it. Afraid that Long Quang would feel choked when he woke up, she specially chose a place in the huge mouth of the dragon puppet that would not cause him any discomfort. Big Sister, when Long Quang left his life, primordial spirit, he was only a peak heavenly immortal. Now that he suddenly has a middle stage, golden, immortal physical body, he will definitely feel uncomfortable. Yang Chun warned carefully, furthermore, it is not his own physical body. It might be very painful when he possesses it. So, Big Sister, you have to restrain him when necessary. Don't let him struggle too much. This was a serious matter, so A.O. Lan nodded vigorously. As long as Xiao Chun could resurrect Long Quang and possess him. Everything else was a small matter. Aeolon handed over another large jade bottle. Inside it were the 108 Revolution Beneficent Ganoderma Jade Dew pills that Yang Chun had refined. With the beneficent Ganoderma in them, the medicinal energy of these 100 medicinal pills could rival that of 9 Revolution medicinal pills. Unfortunately, these were just herbs from the spirit world. In terms of medicinal energy, they were much weaker than those from the immortal world. Xiao Chun had no choice but to use quantity to make up for it. The dragon puppet is already dead. There is no longer any life force in it. Yang Chun had to explain everything clearly. He could not let Aeolon think that he was waiting for an opportunity to deal with Long Quan. Hence, Yang Chun explained in detail, the dragon soul fragrance will bring life force to the dragon puppet's Niwen palace. However, that is not enough. At that time, the dragon puppet will be in a severely injured state, with only a bit of life force left in its Niwen palace. Yang Chun pointed to the bottle of beneficent Ganoderma Jade Dew pills and said, "At that time, we have to use these medicinal pills to treat its injuries. This is equivalent to letting the entire dragon puppet's physical body regain life force. At that time, the embryo merging pill will be effective." Hearing Yang Chun's instructions, Aeolon nodded vigorously. At this moment, Aeolon did not seem like the all-powerful dragon race princess. Instead, she seemed more like the family of a patient who remembered the doctor's instructions. After he uses all these medicinal pills and consumes the embryo merging pill, give him the body-tempering pill, Yang Chun instructed carefully. After that, he will sleep for a long time. This will take at least a month. After he wakes up, everything will be more or less done. Chapter 2244. Aeolon remembered every word that Yang Chun said and rechecked all the arrangements. She looked at the dragon puppet in the distance with a complicated gaze and then looked at Aeolai beside her before picking up the profound spirit furnace. The dozens of 8 Revolution Merit Lingji mushroom jade pills were not for the resurrected Long Quang to eat, but to dig out the flesh of the dragon puppet and bury it in the whole body of the dragon puppet. As long as Long Quang had consciousness, he could use his spiritual power to stimulate the efficacy of the pill and heal all the physical injuries around the pill. I hope that after you die once, you will really comprehend something. Big Sister Aeolon muttered in a low voice and directly erased the spirit of the profound spirit furnace. Just as the action was completed, the back of the dragon puppet's head flashed with brilliance. After the brilliance flashed, there was a dense smoke rising over there. The smoke was very thick, and in the blink of an eye, it wrapped the huge head and neck of the dragon puppet in it. Nothing could be seen anymore. The dragon had just been reborn, so everyone did not use their spiritual sense to explore for fear of arousing Long Quang's hostility. They just waited quietly. However, they were all cultivators, and they could all sense that the dragon puppet that was originally a dead dragon now had a trace of vitality. Aeolon was directly opposite the dragon puppet, a few steps away. Others did not dare to use their spiritual sense to explore, but she was not afraid. Seeing that the dragon puppet had more and more vitality, suddenly, the dragon puppet's Niwen palace in the smoke emitted a familiar berserk spiritual sense. "It's me." Aeolan's spiritual sense instantly connected with that spiritual sense, and a thought was transmitted over. The berserk spiritual sense seemed to calm down in an instant, as if he understood that Aeolon was protecting him by his side. He did not have to worry about any danger. He calmed down, and in a short while his spiritual sense became stronger and stronger. The dragon puppet's vitality also became more and more. An 8 Revolution Merit Lingji mushroom jade pill was directly buried behind the Niwen palace. At this time, Long Quang's spiritual sense had recovered, and he also had a little spiritual power. When he came into contact with the pill, he immediately stimulated the efficacy. The Merit Lingji mushroom jade pill was an elixir that could regenerate flesh and bones in the spiritual realm. In a moment, the dragon body, which was dozens of feet around the pill, recovered its vitality. Long Quang's spiritual power immediately followed Ao Lan's instructions and quickly circulated throughout his body. One by one, the virtuous Lingji mushroom jade pill was stimulated, and the dragon puppet's long body recovered its vitality bit by bit. After the dozens of pills were stimulated, Long Quang's body that was already hundreds of feet long became full of vitality. His vital organs and brain were all revived. Even if the effects of the medicine hadn't taken effect on other parts of his body, they were only minor injuries. In these places, there was no need to dig up the flesh to bury the pills. As long as Long Quang swallowed the pills, it was enough. Ao Lan sent the remaining tins of Lingji Jade Dew pills into Long Quang's mouth. However, Long Quang still remembered Ao Lan's instructions and did not swallow the embryo-merging pills. Right now, Long Quang clearly felt that something was wrong with his body. However, due to his trust in Ao Lan, he still followed Ao Lan's instructions. After the pill entered his stomach, it was as if a spring of vitality had suddenly formed in his stomach. Countless spring water silently gushed out from the mouth of the spring and slowly flowed to every part of his body. Each time the dragon puppet had long ago, he felt it would awaken one place and every place places. Aside from the discomfort, the dragon soul fragrance also slowly flowed to the places he did not feel before. His body seemed to be regenerating bit by bit. Could this be the feeling of using the dragon's soul fragrance to regenerate? Soon, Long Quang felt that his body was complete again. However, for some reason, it felt like there was still some distance between his spiritual body and his physical body. Even when he wanted to do something, he felt powerless. Long Quang was clearly doing something with all his might, but his body did not seem to belong to him. The anxiety in his heart and the sudden pain in his physical body caused Long Quang to spasm uncontrollably. Just as Long Quang's body moved, Ao Lan was already prepared. She revealed her dragon form and wrapped around Long Quang, firmly controlling his body and preventing him from moving. This was to prevent Long Quang from getting injured and affecting the effects of the possession. Endure. Swallow the pill in your mouth. Ao Lan's instructions came in time, stopping Long Quang from letting his thoughts run wild. He did his best to control his tongue, which did not listen to him, and swallowed the pill. Long Quang firmly believed that Ao Lan would not harm him. If it were someone else, Long Quang would definitely not be so obedient. However, Long Quang was not very happy at this moment. It seemed like there were some unfamiliar people around. Why would Ao Lan revive him when there were outsiders around? After Long Quang swallowed the pill, he felt a little more comfortable. Although his body was still in pain and was still spasming, as the pain intensified, his control became better. It was like all the parts of his body were returning to his control bit by bit. Although the process was slow, he could clearly feel it. Even so, Long Quang could not feel happy. He discovered that his body was innately earth-attributed. How is this possible? I am a fire dragon. Could it be that after relying on the dragon soul fragrance to be reborn, my innately elemental attributes would change? Consume these pills. Ao Lan watched as Long Quang's body became more and more normal. The excitement in her heart was indescribable. However, she still remembered Yang Chen's instructions and placed the body-tempering pill into Long Quang's mouth. Long Quang did not resist and obediently swallowed the few pills. Soon, Long Quang's mind became muddled, and he could not help but fall into a deep sleep. Long Quang's long body lay on a huge, empty space in the Mountain River geographical map, snoring like thunder. Even in his dreams, Long Quang's body still twitched. When everyone saw this, they could imagine the pain his body was in. Ao Lan stared at Long Quang anxiously, afraid that something was wrong. From the start until now, all the changes were within Yang Chen's expectations. This was also the reason why Ao Lan was at ease. Finally, Long Quang fell into a deep sleep. Even though his body was in pain, he could not feel it. Hopefully, Long Quang would be like Yang Chen said and return to normal after a good sleep. Aolan had already experienced the torment of Long Quang's death once. She did not want to experience it again. This was also the first time the girls saw a dragon reincarnating and possessing another body. While it was an eye-opener, the girls were also very proud of their husbands. Such a miracle, aside from their own husband. Who else could do it? Even though Long Quang was in a deep sleep, Aolan did not leave him at all. She kept staring at his body, listening to his snoring as though it was the most beautiful sound in the world. Chapter 2245. The crowd did not disturb Aolan and Long Quang. After they quietly returned to the Dragon Palace, they started chatting happily. One had to know that the scene that happened not long ago completely overturned everyone's common sense. It was not an exaggeration to say that Long Quang had come back to life. The dragon puppet had been dead for who knew how many years. It had even been forcefully refined by an expert into a magic treasure. However, her husband had used the dragon soul fragrance of the dragon race and stuffed the reborn Long Quang into the dragon puppet's body, allowing the dragon puppet's body to regain vitality. This was many times more brilliant than saving a dying person or regrowing a severed limb. According to the legends, the 9 revolutions golden pill of the immortal world could achieve such an effect. However, that was only a legend. No one had seen it before. However, everything that her husband had done had happened in front of everyone. Now, no one was in the mood to cultivate again. They all wanted to wait for Long Quang to wake up and see the final effect. When they thought about how they were one of the participants, all the girls felt honored. Long Quang's sleeping time was clearly much longer than Yang Chun had estimated. Originally, Yang Chun had estimated that it would be about a month. However, 2 months had passed, and he was still sleeping. This was the first time a situation had occurred that was not within Yang Chen's control. Aolan was also somewhat anxious and rushed over to find Yang Chun. After Yang Chun observed the scene carefully, he concluded that Long Quang was fine and was just sleeping. As for why it took so long, it exceeded Yang Chen's expectations. It was probably because he had changed to a body with a completely different innate attribute. Long Quang's snoring was very regular. Aolan was also worried and could tell that Long Quang was fine for now. However, she did not dare to gamble with Long Quang's life. Thus, she asked Yang Chen to come and take a look. Since everyone was fine, they might as well wait here. It could be considered as witnessing the process of Long Quang's resurrection. Everyone knew that the spiritual pills that their hubby gave them were all mixed with dragon soul fragrance and divine perching jade. If there was such a day, this would also be an experience. Long Quang finally woke up. Under everyone's attention, he suddenly stopped snoring and opened his eyes. Long Quang, how are you? Aolan simply used her fastest speed to rush in front of Long Quang. Xiaochen did not know if she had such speed when facing a strong opponent. Suddenly, he saw an unfamiliar woman rush in front of him. However, her voice was the one he was familiar with and would never forget for the rest of his life. Her aura was also the same. Long Quang, who had just woken up, was still a little confused about the situation. His large dragon eyes shone with a doubtful light. I am Aolan. Aolan was stunned. Then, he immediately understood. His body trembled, and he revealed his dragon race body. This time, Long Quang immediately understood, and a lot more gentleness appeared in his eyes. But very quickly, Long Quang's eyes stopped on Aolai's body and stopped moving. At the same time, there was a sign that he was about to get angry. The aura of this robust man was so familiar. It was as if he was another him. What was going on? Big sis, you guys catch up first. He can look for me after he figures it out. Yang Chun was a tactful person. He immediately called out to Aolan. Then, he led the girls and disappeared instantly. Aolai stood there foolishly, not moving. It was like he was planning to watch the show. In the next moment, Yang Chun, who had already disappeared, suddenly appeared beside Aolai. He grabbed Aolai and pulled him along. The two of them disappeared in the blink of an eye. Are you stupid? They have reunited after a long time. What are you doing standing in the middle? Although the two of them had already disappeared, Aolan and Long Quang clearly heard Yang Chen's scolding of Aolai. Even though Aolan was already in his dragon form, he still nearly blushed. What's going on with me now? Long Quang's mind was still filled with confusion. He pointed to his body and asked, also, why did you turn into a human? Yang Chun and Ao Lai drank a large jug of wine in the Dragon Palace. The concubines that served Yang Chun changed every day, a total of 10. Only then did Ao Lan and Long Quang arrive. What surprised Yang Chun was that when Long Quang came over, he actually turned into a human like Ao Lan and Ao Lai. This surprised Yang Chun. Didn't they say that this fellow was very proud? The proud dragon race turned into a human? Long Quang's appearance was completely different from the muscular man that Ao Lai turned into. At first glance, he looked like an elegant scholar. His every move seemed to be filled with a kind of knowledgeable foundation, and his entire person also seemed to be full of scholarly aura. The moment Long Quang entered the Dragon Palace, his gaze landed on the Fire Dragon Palace. At this point, Yang Chun felt a little guilty. This Dragon Palace belonged to him in the past. He did not even say a word before forcefully occupying it. Now that he saw the original owner, he felt a little guilty. Fortunately, Long Quang only took a glance before he started to carefully observe the 5-element Dragon Palace. This was especially so when he saw the Dragon Pagoda. His eyes lit up. As long as it was a member of the dragon race, they would pay special attention to the Dragon Pagoda. This was a special characteristic of the dragon race. If it was not so, he might not even be a member of the dragon race, or his dragon race bloodline was not pure enough. Yang Chun, this time, Long Quang intends to personally thank you for your hard work over the past few years. Ao Lan's face was filled with smiles. It looked like he had been very happy over the past 10 days. There was an unprecedented radiance on his face. It was a smile that only came from the joy in his heart. Well said, well said. Since Long Quang came to express his thanks, Yang Chun also had a smile on his face. He said politely, actually, it is all because of Big Sister Ao Lan. If you want to thank someone, you should thank Big Sister. Naturally, I will not fall behind on Ao Lan's side. Long Quang performed a cupped fist salute and bowed politely to Yang Chun. Many thanks, great master. Every action of Long Quang's seemed very serious. Even the way he bowed deeply was very natural. It did not look like he was being forced. Previously, when Ao Lan mentioned Long Quang, everyone was misled by his pride. They thought that Long Quang would be arrogant. They did not expect him to be so humble. Instantly, their favorable impression of him increased greatly. Yang Chun quickly helped Long Quang up. No matter what, this fellow was the most likely husband of Big Sister Ao Lan in the future. Yang Chun could not be rude. Big Brother Long has come back to life. This can be considered a blessing and a curse. There will definitely be good fortune in the future. Long Quang and Big Sister Ao Lan were very close. So, Yang Chun followed Big Sister's way of addressing Long Quang, calling him Big Brother Long. This little brother does not have much here, just good wine and delicacies. Yang Chun extended his hand and made an inviting gesture. He said to Ao Lan and Long Quang, Big Brother Long is safe and sound. Everyone should celebrate. Please. Chapter 2246. Following that, the host and guests enjoyed themselves. Regardless of whether it was Yang Chen's family, Ao Lan, Ao Lai, or Long Quang, they were all filled with joy and laughter. The host was hospitable and the guests were well-mannered. It could be said that it was a joyous occasion. Long Quang had always appeared to be a knowledgeable person, speaking wittily. His attitude was also very humble. No matter who he spoke to, he always had that kind of polite attitude. Even the most picky teacher would not be able to find any problems with Long Quang in this aspect. Yang Chun wanted to ask Big Sister Ao Lan what was going on. However, Big Sister Ao Lan's attention was currently on Long Quang. How would she notice the looks Yang Chun gave her from time to time? Yang Chun could not help but shake his head and sigh in his heart. How could a woman immersed in love see others? Human women were like this. Dragon women were like this. Even the princess of the dragon race was like this. No matter what happened to Long Quang, at least he came back to life. Furthermore, he successfully possessed the dragon puppet's body. This was a joyous matter. Wasn't everything Big Sister Ao Lan did previously for this purpose? As long as she was happy, it was fine. Long Quang would not be able to provoke him. Yang Chun could not be bothered with other people's business. During the banquet, Long Quang thanked Xiao Chun many times. He was well-mannered, and this fellow's alcohol tolerance was pretty good. This celebration for Long Quang was very carefree. After drinking, everyone was more or less familiar with each other. Only then did Ao Lan let Yang Chun carefully examine Long Quang's body. After all, Long Quang had just been revived and possessed the body of the dragon puppet. Even with the help of the embryo-fusing pill, the specific effects still required Yang Chun, the alchemist, to carefully examine it. Yang Chun did not stand on ceremony. He immediately released his spiritual sense and carefully examined Long Quang. This was actually very rude to cultivators. However, no one would care about it in this situation. This was Long Quang's request, so how could it be considered rude? After the examination, Yang Chun carefully asked Long Quang about his various feelings. In the end, he did not forget to use the method of checking his postnatal attributes. As expected, he had all 5 elements, and all of them were maxed out. With regards to this result, Yang Chun was still very confident. With so much merit given out, if he couldn't even achieve this, then the merit chapter wouldn't live up to its name. The overall results of the examination showed that everything was normal. Long Quang had recovered very well without any flaws. The effect of the fusion embryo pill was exceptionally outstanding. It tightly connected Long Quang's spirit body and fleshly body together without the slightest bit of rejection. If there was a problem, it would be Long Quang himself. Of course, he was referring to Long Quang's spirit body. His spirit body had just been resurrected in the dragon puppet's flesh body, and he was still not used to the sudden change of the 5 elements. In addition, when Long Quang left his natal primordial spirit behind, his cultivation was only at the peak of the Heaven Immortal stage. However, the dragon puppet's current cultivation level was at the mid-golden immortal stage at the very least. This was similar to Ao Lai in the past. His physical body cultivation was high, but his mental state cultivation was low. It was normal for him to not adapt. If he could control it freely, that would be a big problem. However, this was not a problem that Yang Chen's medicinal pill could solve. Long Quang needed to slowly adapt to it. In any case, the dragon race had a lot of lifespan. After a long time, he would get used to it. At that time, there would not be such trouble. Back then, when Ao Lai encountered such a situation, Yang Chun had unkindly asked Ao Lai to refine a dragon palace for himself. Firstly, it was to create a home for himself. Secondly, it was to slowly get used to his current cultivation through refining the dragon palace. Things had to be done step by step. They could not be rushed. Yang Chun analyzed the situation for Ao Lan and Long Quang using the same logic, so that the two of them could clearly understand their current problem and not let their imaginations run wild. Of course, the one who let their imaginations run wild was Ao Lan. Long Quang also understood where his current problem was. However, Ao Lan was still worried. Even though her cultivation was much higher than Long Quang's, when she encountered such a problem, she still wanted to let Yang Chun, the strongest alchemist, confirm it. Big Sister is still too concerned about Big Brother Long. Yang Chun smiled and evaluated, causing Long Quang's face to be filled with happiness. Ao Lan also nodded her head shyly. Ao Lan had never revealed such an expression before. This made Yang Chun feel fresh. After obtaining the result that they wanted, Ao Lan and Long Quang did not stand on ceremony and entered the demonic world. Regardless of whether Long Quang's personality had really changed or not, going to the demonic world to massacre would allow him to vent the frustration that had accumulated over the years. At the same time, fighting was also an effective way for Long Quang to merge his spirit and body. Of course, going to the demonic world to massacre would also allow the mountain river geographical map to refine the demonic world faster. Right now, the demonic world was only several million kilometers in radius. However, it was only the core region that connected to the immortal world. Based on the current speed, it would be completely refined in a few decades. Yang Chun and the girls remained in the Dragon Palace. Everyone still wanted to exchange their views on Long Quang. After all, with Big Sister Ao Lan's face, they would have to interact more or less in the future. He probably really understood after dying once. Gao Yu recalled Big Sister Ao Lan's very serious explanation and wanted to laugh. How could the current Long Quang look like a proud fellow? In the past, those proud experts with the surname Long refused to transform into human form. Even Big Sister Ao Lan only accepted this change a while ago. However, Long Quang actually transformed into human form the first time he met everyone. It could only be said that he was indeed not the proud fellow that Big Sister Ao Lan spoke of. No one had much contact with Long Quang. It seemed that this was the only explanation. A cultivator's mental state would indeed increase after dying once. This was reflected in many experts who had used the divine dwelling jade. Long Quang was no exception. No matter what, this was a good thing for Big Sister Ao Lan. At least she did not have to be stuck between two sides. Yang Chun did not have to provoke the anger of the dragon race for no reason. With Long Quang like this, it was easy for everyone. A few days later, Ao Lai was captured by Big Sister Ao Lan and was quickly released. After asking, he found out that this fellow had given some purple sun dragon fire to Long Quang. Originally, Long Quang's life true fire was the purple sun dragon fire. If he changed to a dragon puppet, he would not have a fire seed. He specially asked Ao Lai for some to refine his life true fire. It was just a small interlude. It was no big deal. Everyone cultivated on their own. Yang Chun waited for the immortal beheading stage and the demonic realm to refine. It seemed that everything was on track. Time flew, and in the blink of an eye, another 30 years had passed. On this day, Yang Chun was helping his second primordial spirit refine the immortal beheading stage. Suddenly, Ao Lan came to see him alone. This time, Ao Lan planned to take her leave for a period of time. The main reason was to help Mo Chun Mei find a suitable artifact spirit for the profound spirit furnace.